Hey everybody, I'm Ed O'Keefe. I am super excited to have you here today for the case study and the process that Dr. Scott Gray has invented, created, that has generated multiple eight figures in stem cell and regenerative medicine patient flow that is working right now, worked last month, worked, I think, Scott, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but it worked over 10 years ago, but it's evolved and gotten better and better. And so today, as we bring people on, uh, we're going to be talking about how Dr. Scott's top client, what is the process they use that generated over literally $3.5 million in specifically stem cell patients. But as you know, if you bring patients in for stem cells or uh, any kind of um, condition or anything else that they might need, whatever that might look like for your goals, those patients have the opportunity to stay with you and spend a lot more money and refer people to you and really build something that's very profitable, fun, predictable, and something you can rely on. Okay. And so, how today will work, have a few little just housekeeping things, how today will work so you can get the best out of it is number one is Scott's going to kind of lay out his journey, the good, the bad, and ugly, what brought him to identifying that what he was really missing was a process that can sell one to many, which creates freedom, time freedom, mental freedom, clarity, focus, confidence, all those positive things. And then who he had to become in order to be that person to create that process, right? So there's two things there. And what those steps would look like. So while I said there's three steps to freedom, there's distinctions in each one, and Scott's going to cover that. Um, I have the good fortune to share with you what we call ethical propaganda, how to become locally famous so that everybody looks at you as the authority for your uh, practice and for the patients that you want in. And that could be HRT, that could be peptides, that could be just stem cells. And we're super excited about that. And then the last section here today is going to be about leverage, scale, and freedom. Like, how do you actually create that leverage so you can reach more people, but without killing yourself and just grinding away at it? If you have questions throughout it, you can comment in the comments, and then myself or Maggie will look at them, and then when we open up Q&A, we might answer it right away. We may push it off just based on the timing of that. So without further ado, it's my good pleasure to introduce my good friend and just a genius marketer, somebody that I would say is one of the most genuine guys in the business, and without question is probably in the United States has done I would say one of the most four leading experts in doing the most to make sure regenerative medicine is getting to patients and getting that solution. So, without further ado, welcome, Dr. Scott Gray. Woo.
Awesome. Thanks, Ed. Thank everyone for jumping on today. I'm excited to have you here and go through some of our systems and secrets and things. And we want to share that with you today and things that you'll be able to take with you and use right away, implement right away. This isn't going to be, information that's just going to, go in one ear and out the other. This is stuff you're going to want to use immediately. So let's jump right into it. Like Ed said, I'm gonna tell you how our my top client that I taught this system to a few years back, they did 3.4 million in stem cell treatments last month. So needless to say, this system works. Not everyone does that big, and not everyone wants to go that big. But we're going to show you how you can go that big if you want to. So I really believe that this system is the number one system to grow your practice. I don't know many other groups doing that much in stem cell. Maybe there are, but I want to show you how you can do this in your office. So first of all, if you don't know me, just a little bit about me. My name is Scott Gray. I'm a chiropractor by trade. Had a practice for several years. And I've scaled 3 practices now to 7 figures. I grew 2 businesses to 8 figures that I'm still part of. I don't have to work in them a whole lot. I'm going to show you how to get that freedom. And I sold a business in 2017, and I've worked with hundreds of doctors to help them grow their practices as well. And you can see my beautiful bride down there, Jen, and my 2 girls, Violet and Hazel. Uh, and just to kind of give you a little bit of background, this all started literally when my wife was pregnant with my first daughter, and we didn't have a whole lot of family support and whatnot around us. So I had to figure out how I could be home more because I was that guy that was gone at 6 in the morning and I got home at 7 or 8 at night. It's 12, 14-hour days. And I had to figure out how to get leverage. And what I'm going to show you today is how I figured out how to get that leverage and really break free from my practice, break free from 12 to 14-hour days, and get past that. And if I can do it, everyone can do it. You just have to know what to do and then implement those things. So, with anything in business, it's how much you're going to implement, and we'll get into all that today as well. So, again, like I said, I've helped a lot of doctors scale. In the top left corner, that's Martin Jones, who started with us fresh with regenerative medicine. He did 1.2 million his first year using these systems. Dr. Brandon Butt has used a lot of our stuff for years. He's done millions of dollars. Dr. Brunk, Dr. Pecky, Dr. Foss, Dr. Del Rio down in the corner. They couldn't get anything to close. I mean, they were doing like, $5,000, $10,000 a month. And we got them in the first, it was like 10 or 14 days, we did $57,000 with them. And actually, that's a little picture from a video where he's talking about that. If you ever want to look at these videos, we can share that stuff with you if the doc's talking about it. But let me just give a few disclaimers up front. The reality, I'm not some kind of guru. I'm just a business guy. I'm just a guy who loves marketing, loves helping people. And honestly, I kind of figured out I can help more people by helping doctors grow their practices. And then as a result of that, we get to help more people. And so we don't make any income claims because, like I said, my biggest group that we have did $3.4 million last month. And they do that every month. That wasn't some weird month. They're probably going to do $40 million, this $50 million this year. But I also have several doctors that I taught this to that did absolutely nothing with it. So this system can make you a lot of money if you want to put in the work and the effort to make it happen. And so I can't tell you what you're going to do with what you're going to learn today. That's why we can't make any income claims. But I can tell you, if you use it, you'll be very happy with it. And just to let you know, we test this daily. I've spent millions and millions, probably over $10 million in ads over the last, 10 years. And we still run ads all the time for my own groups and other groups that I've worked with. And we're always getting improvement on this. Okay. So we're going to teach you what's working today. This is not going to be, hey, this is what worked 5 years ago or 2 years ago. Because Ed'll get into this. The algorithm, everything has changed. Literally every month, the advertising has changed, and we're going to talk about that with you today. There's no magic formula to this. Business is how much effort you get in is how much you're going to get back, right? One of the my mentors told me the hole that you give through, the hole that you put energy through is the size of the hole you're going to get money back through. So as much as you're willing to invest in time, energy, effort, and doing the right things, which we'll talk about in a second, do the right things at the right time, get rid of distractions. There's no magic formula. It's just business. So, and what I'm teaching you is what I've learned from experience. I'm not going to show you or tell you anything that I'm making up with theory. I've done over 1,000 talks myself. Like you saw, I've built several practices. So that's all I'm sharing with you today. None of this is made up or we hope it works. It is working right now. And we're going to give you a fire hose today. We're going to give you a lot of information. So buckle up, just like that little kid there before he got blasted with the fire hose in Weird Al's movie UHF. So let's get started here, guys. So when docs come to us, the problems are always the same. It's, hey, I'm putting out content. Leads don't convert. I'm getting leads. I get all these Facebook leads and nothing happens. They don't turn into patients. They're bad leads. My agency sucks. We hear that all the time. And the truth to that is that most agencies don't have the information that we have to be able to get leads to convert and know the ways to do it with today's algorithms and actually today's buyer. Today's buyer is much more sophisticated than they were, and we're going to show you how to take that to your advantage. But if that's your problem, you're really going to like today's talk. Now, no time. This is a biggie. And that's why I'm so big on leverage. What I'm big on is take 80/20. You've heard 80/20. 20% of what you do creates 80% of your results. Well, inside that 20, there's an 80/20. And inside that 20, there's an 80/20. And what you'll find is literally 2% of what you do creates 51% of your results. So if you can figure out the right things to do, then you're going to have way more time on your hands once you put this leverage into place. And that's why I get to be part of businesses now that I don't have to put a lot of time into. And I want to make that happen for you. Freedom from your practice and your business is really a big point that I'm very passionate about to help doctors get that. And consistently flow. It was good one month. It wasn't good the next month. We're going to go into why that happens. People are confused about how to sell this stuff, right? They don't know how to set all this stuff up and then be able to sell through it. There we go. And no system, right? I don't have a system. I tried this thing. I tried that thing. I tried this new thing, and nothing ever seems to work. Well, I'm going to show you a system that works. So let's go through that. So Dan Kennedy was probably my first mentor, I would say, in marketing. He's a genius, but he said, the marketer who educates the market owns the market. If you control the education, you control the buying criteria. And that's what all of this system is based on. And it's like what Ed talked about earlier with ethical propaganda, right? So let's follow what the leaders say and let's build out a marketing system like that. We're going to show you that here. And it brings me to diamonds. And I just want to give you an example of this. So think about this. In order to get people to spend 2 to 3 months of their salary to get a ring for a person, you can't just sell a diamond. You can't sell a shiny rock, right? Nobody would do that if it was just a rock. What they did is they have sold us a belief system. We have a belief system now that really goes through, first of all, a core belief. You need to prove your love. And if you really love your partner, you're going to spend a lot of money on that person, right? And, what's the real problem? Well, for people, it's always the groomsman, never the groom. So it's like, I gotta be able to make enough money to get this big ring to get the woman of my dreams, right? So they've pushed this out. Time. The longer you wait on this, you're going to grow old, and you're going to grow old alone, right? They put that pain in there. Money. And so they flipped the script on this. This is really interesting. Most people are worried about, it's too expensive, it's too expensive. They literally have flipped it so that the more that you can spend, the better you're going to look to the person that you love. So they literally have made it and given us a belief that, man, the more I can spend on my engagement ring, the more my spouse, my fiance is going to love it. The method, well, like I just said, the more you spend, the more your spouse will love you. Because guess what? They're actually going into the belief system of the spouse as well. Because doesn't every girl want to show off that engagement ring when they get it, right? And the bigger that ring is, the more proud they are. And so you want them to be able to show off a big ring. They help position themselves, and that's De Beers, as the only source of diamonds, right? That they control the diamonds in the world because it's such a rare thing. I don't know if you guys know this. The reality is diamonds actually are not that rare. They've just totally controlled it to show that they are the only person there to help you. They've put everyone else out of the market and they are the singular place you have to get it. And then the last thing is the identity, right? When your fiance or your wife is wearing that engagement ring, someone says it, sees it, and says something, you feel pretty good about it. And obviously, she feels good about it too. So, to get people to spend a quarter of their salary on a rock, this is what they've done. All this stuff is ingrained, all this stuff is in our subconscious mind. And so, what we're going to show you how to do is take your product, your service, and do the same thing and build that belief system, because that's what this is all about, is building that belief system. The only way to get people to engage with you and buy from you is by getting them to believe what they need to believe and assume that identity. So you're not going to sell a product or a service. You're selling a belief system, an identity system. That is very important to believe in the things that we're going to teach today. And so you're going to see that all throughout when I'm teaching you things, that we're building up that belief and that identity. So Walt Disney is my favorite business leader. He's the guy I look up to most as far as how he ran and built his businesses. This is actually from a film. I actually produced a film on Walt called Tomorrow Man, but he transformed the world in multiple industries. Most people don't realize he actually had his hands in a lot of different industries that he changed. And he said at the top, it's kind of fun to do the impossible. Now, what was it about Walt? It wasn't because he had better technology, but what he did is he sold a belief system of thinking differently, being an innovator, always doing the impossible, right? Being ahead of the curve. And so he sold that belief system to his team. I have fortunately been able to meet and talk with people that worked with him. I know his granddaughter, and he was just different that way. And once you believed in those things, you bought into that world that Walt created. And if you can just see around the world, I mean, the guy died 60 years ago. And that company has grown and grown over the last 60 years without him. And not a lot of businesses do that. But that's because he created a belief system that is literally still around 60 years after his passing. So I'm going to skip past the infusion stuff. So basically, what we talk about is a patient infusion method. That's what we call what we do. And we're going to show you how to basically get a sudden concentrated wave of new patients that energizes that revenue, momentum, and growth in your practice. And we're going to really show you how to use this system ethically to get people the help that you can give them. Because right now, I'm telling you guys, doctors who are not as good as you are getting more patients just because they're better at a systematic persuasion model and business growth model to create that belief and identity in people. So I want to give you those tools so you can be the best in your area. So what we're talking about here with patient infusion method is a systematic office growth system that's going to shift beliefs so prospects close themselves. We really don't want you selling. We want you to be able to build a belief, a transformational belief in the person that you're talking to so that they want what you have so bad, there is no selling, right? So this is just a framework for getting people to believe what they need to make that right decision. So sound good, guys? That's what we're going to jump into. So let's talk about building this machine and what that looks like for you. So this is my beautiful drawing here. Yes, I'm such a great artist. But you can see we all start down here, right? We all know where we started in business, and typically we have some ups and downs and ups and downs. And what we want to do with this system is eliminate a lot of those downs. And if we can just keep you up on the trajectory, learn something new, we implement it, we jump up again, we take the next tool, we implement it, we jump up again, and get you to your goal. But what typically happens with most people in business, and this happened to me for years. Again, I'm teaching this, you guys, from experience and from all the mistakes that I've made. And so what happens a lot of times is we'll start to grow, we start to get better, plateau, start getting better, and then all of a sudden it explodes. And why does it explode? Usually this has to do with the fact that we have emotions about, it should work, or we have fear, right? Maybe fear of success, maybe fear of failing, and we have head trash. All of us have head trash that I can't do it, that, I'm not good enough, or, what if I make all that money? What are people going to think of me? There's so many different things. And, like Walt said there, he said, it's kind of fun doing the impossible. There's a lot of people that when we show this to, they say, Scott, that's impossible. And that's a mental attitude, and that's an explosion happening, stopping their growth so they can't get anywhere. And what we do is, again, like I showed in that last one, we want to give you that system so we can get rid of that explosion and keep that graph going up for you up to the goal. It's all about implementing a one-to-many system where you can transform belief systems. Now, the other thing, we're all entrepreneurs, we're all business people, and we get the shiny object syndrome, right? Now, you may have heard of something called the Valley of Despair. Most businesses, almost all businesses go through this. You start to grow, you start to get better, and let's say a year in, you've had a great year of growth or a couple years of growth, then all of a sudden stuff just starts to tank. It starts to go down. And then we start to think, oh, I'm doing it wrong. Again, this is head trash. Oh, I'm doing it wrong. I need to find something else. Need to find a new way. We get a shiny object. We stop what we're doing, and we literally go back and start over. And then we go up, we get it, and we get to the valley of despair. Oh, we found something else cool, another guru to follow, and we start all over again. What we want to do, we come in and give you systems and tools that you don't have to go get a shiny object. You get to apply it to what you're already doing and increase what you're doing so you don't start back over again. Because that's the last thing you want to do is just throw in the towel, go back to square one, because this exact same thing is going to happen again. It happens with every new business. So we got to get past the shiny object and just implement new systems. You do that into what you're already doing to grow on the foundation that you have. So the components you need for this is a destination, right? Is it, lifestyle, wealth, and purpose, right? A lot of people, it's, I want freedom. I want more money to be able to provide for my family, do more with my family, and be able to make a difference in the world while I'm doing it. You've got to have a vehicle. That vehicle is your business, right? Your business is what's going to get you there, whether it's going to be, is it going to give you 12 to 14-hour work days, or is it going to give you a freedom lifestyle like we're going to talk about today and give you that wealth? And doing it, you're making a huge difference in the world. Because what I always think of with money received, again, the size of the hole you give through is the size of the hole that you receive through. So the more purpose and the more change that you are having in people's lives, your wealth grows. That's just a side effect if you're doing good things in the world. And then we call it a GPS, or just tracking system. We're just talking about data. Are you tracking your data? Do you know exactly what ad is doing this, and exactly what, which patient is your perfect avatar and perfect patient? And, is that all tracked? And do you make decisions based on emotion or data? Most of us make it on emotion. It took me a long time to learn to trust data and not my crazy mind, right? So speed, your monthly income, right? How fast are we going? How fast are we growing and getting that monthly income up? We want you to get growth efficiency. Make sure your margins are right and your efforts right. Sometimes we talk to people and their business model's just so screwed up that they can't even get a good profit margin. So those are things that we'll have to look at, and you'll have to look at to make sure that's you have the right business model. And the driver, mental performance, like I said, head trash and emotions can sabotage any business. If you ever go into a restaurant and you have bad service, it's not because you've got, let's say, 10 waiters in there that are horrible. You've got one manager that can't manage people. You always go to the top. You always go to the leader. It's their head trash and their problem that is filtering down through. So anytime my business is going bad and there's something wrong in it, it's my fault. I'm the leader. I've got to have my mental performance on par and just being, top mental game all the time. So I can lead my team so that they can be the best they can be. And then the last thing I say, your lifeline. It's the AAA, right? When the car breaks down, who are you going to call? So you need to have someone to call. I have a mentor that I've had for 8 years. He changed my life. 8 years ago is when my trajectory started to go up because he started to teach me systems, data, stop being emotional, all these things that I'm telling you right now. So you need to have a person in your life that knows what they're doing and can give you good info and not lead you down to another shiny object or some other dumb thing that's going to take you off track from your goals. Because most doctors, and again, from experience, how was I at the beginning? I was vague. My mentor always says, if it's cloudy in the pulpit, it's foggy in the pews. Okay. If you're not being clear on what, does your team even know your vision? If I asked your team your vision, I'd probably get as many answers as you have employees because we don't go over this with our team. The destination's vague. The vehicle's broken, right? So the business is broken. Is it a broken business model or is it just a few tools that need to be implemented? GPS, a lot of people don't go by data. They don't even look at their P&Ls. They don't look at their ad reports. They don't look at anything. They just go on emotion. Leads come in, it doesn't work. We get emotional, we get upset. We don't even go back to the data to see what happened. And so, very important to be able to make decisions based on that and not how we feel. Speed and consistent, right? Does your income kind of go up and down and up and down? With systems like this, we want to show you how you can create that consistency. Growth efficiency is typically terrible. Mine was horrible at the beginning, really until I met my mentor about 8 years ago that it started going up. Uh, the driver, our mind. Are we stressed and distracted? If we're stressed, we're not going to be making good decisions. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but Jeff Bezos knows that he needs up until 10 a.m. every morning to get ready mentally. And then he only has meetings from 10 a.m. to noon. He only makes serious decisions about the business when he's in top mental performance. That is how important this is. A lot of people don't think about how important thinking time is and what our mental frame is if we're stressed, how we frame things. And if we get distracted by shiny objects, then that will mess everything up as well. And then the lifeline. Many times people don't go to people. Like if you don't have a mentor, you're just reactive and it's like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do this other thing or this and that. We don't want to, this is a bad way to live. I lived that way for several years when I started my practice. Well, what do wealthy doctors do? They're very intentional, very clear and compelling vision that they reiterate over and over to their staff, to their team. The business is unbreakable. It's a solid business model. And then they're looking at data all the time and they're just looking at, okay, that was wrong. Or, look, I was wrong about that because the data shows something different. So we got to follow the data, not how I'm feeling or how I want it to be. Okay. Following that data. Revenue becomes consistent. When you have a solid business model, everyone's rowing the boat the same way. We're looking at the data. And guess what? Now the profit can be high. Now we're more focused and calm because things are going good and we're actually using a system to make this happen. And then if we have the right advisors, then we're getting objective, data-driven responses, not reactive stuff where people just buy into, like, I would go to someone freaking out and then they're kind of like absorbing my freaking out and then they start freaking out and you get bad advice. You need someone who will go to the data, be objective, and tell you what you need to do because they've been there and they've done that before. So I'm going to zip through these. You guys don't have to go through, you guys can go back through this and look at these, but vision, right? You got to decide, how do I want to live my life and why do I want to live it that way? You've got to have that. I've got like an 8-page vision that I have that I've built out over the years that's very clear that I read all the time. So I know exactly where I'm going and what I want to do. Business. Is my business able to get me there? So this is about the business model. Do we have a good business model? Are we using all the leverage points? Are we selling the right thing to the right people? All that stuff. Very important. Dashboards, again, I already went into the data. Do we know where we are and what to do next? A lot of people are just, it's like if you're flying a plane and they take away your altimeter and all your instrumentation, now you're flying blind. Nobody wants to do that. But guess what? That's what we do in our businesses. So that is just so key to make sure that you get from A to B. Because if you don't have that instrumentation, you're going to be all over the place. Income. What am I doing? What is required to make the income that I want? There's a lot of people that want to have $1 million practices, but don't want to act like $1 million leader, right? This is more about who you become to make this happen. I'm a different guy than I was 8 years ago. I think differently, I act differently, and that's the only reason my income could go up is because of that. If I was still the same Scott from 8 years ago, I would still be in the same position as that Scott was. So, income, are you doing what's required? Efficiency, is it sustainable, right? How are we spending our time? Are we, a guy, Perry Marshall, said one time, there's $10 an hour work, there's $100 an hour work, $1,000, and there's $10,000 an hour work. You as the leader should be doing $10,000 an hour work. I had a guy, a friend of Ed's as well, that became a mentor of mine, a gentleman named Vinny, that I was still seeing patients at the time. And I'm not saying you have to stop seeing patients, but just where I was, he said, Scott, you're never going to grow the big business you want if you are the technician in your business and you have to see all the patients. He's like, you're going to have to let go and you've got to spend your time on $10,000 an hour work, not, $1,000 an hour work of adjusting patients or whatever that is, right? So I had to start reallocating what I was doing and what I was hiring other people to do. And again, we'll show you a lot of that here. Uh, your mind, right? Do I like it? Are you having fun? Am I staying calm and clear on my most focused days, right? Do I have focused days where I'm totally focused, no distractions, no phone? Phone is down, phone is off, no one can get a hold of you. You are just crushing it. People call it in the zone or in flow, right? Do you have flow days? Those things are huge. So again, I'm not going to, I want to get you guys like more practical stuff here in a second. But this is foundational to making the practical stuff work because it is all about you and it is all about who you need to become to be able to implement this system. If I could do it, you can do it. Support. What if something goes wrong? Actually, Vinny, that I was just talking about, I hired him as a mentor for several years. I hired another guy named Thad as a mentor for several years. My current mentor is Randy. I always have someone to go to when something's wrong. So I make sure I talk to people that have been there, done that, and are giving me good advice. So just to put this in like a little bit of perspective here. So we got the straight line across. That would be if you're just staying the same. But sometimes people go down, right? Their business has started to tank and started to go down for some reason. Well, unclear direction, a broken vehicle, a broken business. We're guessing, we're feeling, we're not using data. We're doing random activities. It's not systemic of we know exactly what to do and when. Bloated and heavy, right? We're just we're stressed. Our mind is out of control, and we have dumb people giving us advice. I've done that a lot too. Gotten a lot of dumb advice, followed it, had to start over again. Okay, so what happens with that? We crash. That's when people can lose it all. That's where we become irrelevant and never being wealthy, because we don't do the things that we need to and implement the systems we need to get the result that comes out of it. And then that comes with regret and, just never reaching our goals that we want to do. And I say that's like a nuclear bomb going off because now our whole world is blown up, right? We don't want that. So what the guys that I've seen, the doctors, the men, the women that have done this and done well with it, what are they doing? They have that clear vision. They're communicating to the team exactly what to do, where to go. They're using their data. They've optimized their business. They're hitting those goals, super efficient, and they have peace of mind with it. And they have epic support. They go to people who know what they're doing. Then they can become a millionaire, get to that elite level where work is optional. We don't have to be in the business all the time. You are a great example to others around you. I mean, that's one of the most fun things is getting to go to my church and teach the young people leadership, right? You get to be a great example to those around you, to my girls, right? Be a great example of what you can and should be doing in this world to make a difference and getting everything that you want for yourself, your family, and for all the people that you want to help. And that's reaching your full potential. And I call that your moonshot, right? President Kennedy put out the moonshot Like, hey, we're going to be on the moon by this time, no matter what happens. So we put that moonshot out there. You need to have your moonshot. What is a moonshot? That is when you set a goal so high, you have no clue how you're going to get there. If you know how you're going to get to your goal, if you're like, oh, I'll just do this, this, and this, then it's not high enough. Like you can have stretch goals that say, hey, I know this system will get me there, but then you set that moonshot above that. That, some people call it the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal, but that's our moonshot. I want you to have a moonshot. And so here's the thing: a lot of people sell you on the business, they sell you on the vehicle and vision. Usually, people are doing this half of what they should in their company, maybe like at best. Um, Business, busy on the wrong stuff. I talked about time allocation and what you should be doing versus what team members should be doing. Uh, People fly without instrumentation. Income, we're guessing. It goes up and down. We don't know what it's going to be next month. Efficiency, busy on the wrong stuff. So many people they confuse activity with accomplishment. You never want to confuse activity with accomplishment because your results are going to tell you what's really going on. And if you're not getting the results you want, there's something that you need to fix before that to change those results. The mind, a lot of people are going around like a drunk driver. They don't know what's going on. They're flying all over the place. They've got head trash. They're not controlling their emotions. They're making emotional decisions. They're making stressed out decisions. It's like when you're in an argument with your spouse, is that the best time to, come up with things to say or a business plan? No, not at all. A lot of head trash going on. We're emotionally charged. That's not the best time to do things. We need to do it when we're calm, cool, and collected, and support, right? Alone or getting bad advice. You see two are highlighted, business and income. That's what we're going to focus on right now today is we're going to focus on how you can grow your business the right way and grow your income the right way as well. So let's keep going here. So what we're focusing on here is this is our patient infusion method. And so this is the whole system that we have that we take people through. But today, down in that bottom left corner, you see the perfect presentation and the seminar close. Those are the two biggest things that have changed my life, that have given me the most leverage. And I'm going to teach you both of those things today. Okay. And if you go up to lead flow, you see picking media, writing ads, testing, optimizing, retargeting, follow up, all that. Ed's talking about the ethical propaganda, the omnipresence that you need to have. Ed's going to go through that when I'm done with the presentation and the seminar. So if you're okay with it, forgive me for a second. I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to switch over to my keynote presentation and we're going to get going on the perfect presentation. This is going to be something you guys can use right
Yeah.
away. So
Scott, while you're doing that, I'll just share with everybody too. What the reason why when we say what we're going to get into with the workshop model and then the ethical propaganda to follow it up is that, and I'll go deeper into this, but just to create context as to what's changed is Google's come out with it that when people make big decisions or expensive decisions or investments, they do 7 hours of research before they make the decision. And then it goes 7, 11, and 4, and that means 11 touch points. I think it's 3 times that amount. I really think it's more like 33 touch points, and then across 4 different platforms. And so by the end of today, you're going to see that when you have a core conversion mechanism like a workshop model, and Scott will go through all the different ways to use it, so I don't want to steal his thunder. And then you have a very clear way to get your ideal buyer consuming your content. And then you have what we call an ethical propaganda machine that follows up with it or feeds it, which creates celebrityship in your area, whether it's for you, for your clinic, or your spa, or whatever it might look like. You now start stacking assets, we call them, because they work for you. They're assets that, like, most people think of assets. I spent $100,000. I hope I get a 8 to 12% return. We're talking about assets that are working for you on autopilot. And so it's because people don't know who to trust nowadays at all. and there's so much AI and there's so much confusion, there's so much clutter in the market space. And so now that Scott's ready, this is the beginning of creating a competitive vacuum. And I would say write that down, like write down competitive vacuum. Scott, can I point out one more point and why this
Please, yeah,
is so
yeah. What's
important
on
is
your mind?
that the reason why once we get that first click or that first engagement or that first whatever, and we suck them into a vacuum, is that the way the algorithms now work is that the moment you click on or your patient or prospective client clicks on something, Facebook and Instagram are showing every one of your competitors within seconds to them. And
Yep.
so we want to suck them in, get them into a presentation, and then we are the feeders of that 4 hours, not somebody else. Okay. All right, Scott,
Yep.
back to you,
Just
buddy.
thanks, man. Great stuff. And that's just like the Dan Kennedy thing, right? Like when you educate the market, you own the market, right?
Yep.
And that's what this is all about. Becoming the thought leader, becoming the celebrity. You are the one. The perfect presentation is the best way to do that. This is your biggest leverage point in your office because you can have this going all the time. So let's jump into what a perfect presentation is. So I always talk about it like the show. Like I said, Walt is my favorite businessman. So I look at what their system. I look at how they built Disney World, right? How they built all the Disney stuff. And so if you look at what they did, he always talked about best show. And so he said, you got to dream what you want to do. You want to believe that you can do it. You've got to dare to do it. And then you do it. Okay. So those are kind of the steps of I've got a dream, get that moonshot, but then you really have to believe. And the only way that you know that you believe is you actually start daring to take action, right? When people say they believe they can do it and they never take any action, I don't think they believe they can do it. Because if they believe that they can do it, they would do it, right? So then you dare. And on the dare part, it says take the risk to develop the best show experience for your guest. And the perfect presentation is the best show. And that's what Ed's talking about. You become the number one in your area. You have to have the best show to get them. So, my promise with this if you craft the perfect presentation or best show, you're going to have a consistent flow of patients coming to you on autopilot every single month, year after year, regardless of your competition. And you're going to be able to change the way your audience thinks, acts, and feels. What did I talk about? It's transformation of a belief system, right? So, what the perfect presentation can do for you. I know that when you craft the perfect message of the perfect market at the right time, you're going to have an auto conversion masterpiece that works whether you're presenting it live or not. And all you need to do is find more sources of media to drive people to the presentation, live or recorded, right? We still have groups that do in-person seminars. We have groups that do all online webinars. So it works either way. And you want to get in front of as many people as possible to open those floodgates. And you're going to save so much time by teaching one to many. You guys, this will change your life. So I just can't, it's just what it did to me. I can't help but just be passionate about, I want you to do this to get that freedom. Okay. So if you ignore this, obviously you'll be trying different one-off methods. It's the shiny object stuff. The message is going to change over time. So then it's like, I tried this, I tried that, I tried this. Then you have no identity, right? Then like we talk about the patient having an identity, you have to have an identity too in what you're communicating to the masses. So the way you may waste significant amounts of money and time driving to people to seminars, ads, web pages that don't convert because it's not speaking to the right person, the right time, the right way, and going into their belief system and their identity. So this is what I call the riding the roller coaster. So it's the income that goes up and down and up and down and up and down. So and that's like, hey, hire an ad agency, starts to, oh, let's get rid of them. Another ad agency, get rid of them. Oh, let's try a different product. Oh, let's buy this equipment for the office. That's going to save me. We've all done it. I bought so much equipment that just gathered dust. So, what's the power of a consistent message? 15 minutes or less can save you what? 15% or more on your car insurance, right? They've used the same message for 20 plus years and still crushing it. Literally the same message. Don't leave home without it. Since 1975, American Express, right? We know what it is. Just do it, right? That has nothing to do with shoes. What does it do? It invokes a feeling based on years of indoctrination, right? Nike's about being a champion. It's about doing it. It's about putting in the work. It's about putting in the effort. It's about who you are. It's an identity, right? People who believe that identity that Phil Knight has created buy Nikes. So think different. Who's that? We know that's Apple, right? Steve Jobs never talked about specs of his computers. He talked about the experience and the cool fonts and the beautiful product and best show. Always had best show. So, what are the 8 keys to your presentation? There's 8 things we're going to go through today, and you guys can take this and develop your own. You can literally take what I'm going to teach you today and have a really kick butt presentation after this. So, you got to organize it, and we're going to go through each one of these in detail. Mental preparation, I talked about mindset, your big idea, reframing, your story or stories that you use inside of it, humor that you use in it, a callback, and then the last thing is rehearsal. Okay, rehearsal is one of the ones that a lot of people skip, and that's to their detriment. That's like saying that I can be in the NBA, but I don't have to practice. I never have to rehearse. I'm just going to go out there and crush it, right? Like the Allen Iverson thing, right? So, how do we organize our presentation? Use the number method. So, 7 habits of highly effective people, right? The 7 strategies to eliminate your knee pain. The 3 ways you can get out of pain and get your mobility back. Very simple. You could use a sequential framework. That's been taught, like in an order. You can't skip ahead. What we're going to do is we're going to do your blood work. Once we have your blood work, then what's going to happen? Now we know exactly what's going on, and we can do this. And then once we do that, then we're going to do this. And you're taking them through this sequential, and they're like, you are setting up the system for them, transitioning them into your sequential framework of how you need to do it to make it happen. There's a modular framework. That's when you have a lot of information and break it into modules so it's easy to consume, right? That's if maybe you're teaching functional medicine and you want to teach someone diabetes modules on how to shop, how to eat, how to, eat out, and all those different types of things. You could do it as a problem solution. Identify 3 to 10 problems they have, dive into each and offer solutions, right? So for anyone suffering from knee pain, back pain, or shoulder pain, I'm going to show you exactly how to eliminate those 3 things today, right? So you can do it based on their problem. So it speaks to them. Compare and contrast. That's like Good to Great. You've probably heard of that book, Good to Great. He literally, that guy, Jim Collins, is that what it was? He wrote this book. He didn't even have a company. The dude just compared and contrasted different companies and showed you what good was and what great was. So, and you don't even have to be right. Half those great companies he talked about are out of business now. So, anyway, we want to be right. But you can use numerical framework to introduce a set of principles. Then you can go into another framework, right? These are our principles. You got to do these modules, right? These modules are going to get you the result you need. And then into another framework. And you can move it around based on how you have it set up. So let's talk about mindset for success, because this is crucial. I always talk about the radio voice in your head. Walt Disney always said it was your inner critic, but you don't realize that it's not you when you're saying it's impossible, or maybe you're not even saying it out loud, but something in your head is saying it's impossible. There's a reason you're not taking, there's a reason you didn't put out ads. There's a reason you didn't set up a presentation. There's a reason you're not doing talks. There's a reason you're not doing online advertising. Right? There's something, there's an image inside of our head that's been created, our subconscious mind, that a lot of times cuts these things off. Because I can tell one doc, hey, if you do a talk every week, you're going to end up probably doing, $20,000 to $30,000 a week. And they're like, that's awesome. I tell another person, hey, doc, you do one presentation a week, same results. They say, oh, I couldn't do that. Well, what is that? Why can't they do that, right? They're going to say no time. Anyway, there's a leverage point that gives you time, but it's a radio voice. It's a voice in there that's telling you not to do it. but it's not even you. It's just there. It's been ingrained from the time you were growing up. So this gives us updates on what's real and true in life. We can't control it and can't counter its negative messages. I mean, guys, we're bombarded every day with messages of out in the world where they're trying to always tell us what's real and true. And we're starting to find out that most of what we thought about this thing, none of it was true, or what we thought about this thing was real, even though people were telling us it wasn't true. So the reality is our brain is always telling us that, and we need to have the mindset that we're going to make this thing work. We're going to be successful with this, because it can give you messages of fear, poor self-image. Oh, I can never do it. I don't look the part. I'm not a good speaker. Or anger. I hate that doctor down the road who's doing so well. He's a loser. Like, why is she doing so good? You know, and anger will kill your creativity and kill your ability to grow, well, more than anything. Lack of accomplishment. I've never done it before, so I can't do it. You guys have heard this before. Your past does not predict your future. It wasn't until I met Randy where things got really clear for me on how to implement the right systems. And it was I had a lack of accomplishment because of who I was. And then all of a sudden, once I got through Randy's stuff, I became a different person, and using what I did, was able to get accomplishment, right? Loneliness. So many of us in our office, we feel lonely. We don't have other people to talk to. I hope you have a community of successful people, not a community of people complaining and saying insurance companies suck and this sucks and people aren't buying and this. Guys, my top group did 3.4 million last month. People are buying right now. People are buying. So don't listen to people that are saying otherwise. So all of those things can kill your creativity and kill your ability to take action. I'll skip past this right now. We don't need to do the video. So radio voice, it's false advice. And many times you don't even notice it's influencing you. And when we listen to this voice, it results in failure and lost opportunity. So the reason I'm saying this right now is because when I started teaching you this presentation, you might be thinking, I'm never doing a presentation. I can't do a presentation. That's the radio voice. And so what we have to do is when those negative thoughts come in, we have to just deflect them right away. Say, no, what? I can do this. I can do this. I'm as good as he or she down the road. I'm better than them. So examples of that, stepping out of practice. So when I realized that I needed to sell one of my practices and really focus on, doing something totally different. I don't work as a chiropractor anymore. And to do something where I'm not using my degree anymore. I'm not adjusting people anymore. I had all this guilt, and I was on all these boards that was taking all my time and distracting me. I resigned from the school board. I resigned from Rotary. I was the president of Rotary. I was president of city council. I resigned from everything because it was all distractions to what I really wanted to happen in my life. And seminars, that was one of the things that didn't really want to get into doing seminars and doing that all the time. But when I saw the leverage I had with it, and I could put a little bit of time on that and make a lot of money, as opposed to putting a ton of time over here and hoping I make some money, I was like, okay, yeah, makes way more sense. My mom always taught me GIGO. And she told me this one time when we were watching Back to the Future. And I don't know if you realize this, but you never realize how many curse words are in a movie until you watch it with your parents next to you. But we're watching this movie, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, garbage in, garbage out. Why are you guys watching this stuff?" She was just like, "Whatever you take in is what's going to come out." So again, if you're talking to losers that aren't making money, complaining about no one's buying, insurance sucks, practice sucks, like, you cannot listen to those people. You need to get them out of your life and talk to successful people. People all around us, they fill our heads with limiting beliefs. Oh, you'll never be able to do that. $1 million a month, $1 million a year, whatever it is. People try to put doubt. And one of the things that, a lot of psychologists have said is it's a natural thing that we do, because if we have a friend, we don't want that friend to excel so far above us that we're kind of like not friends, we're at a different level. People want you to stay down where they are. And unfortunately, to move ahead, sometimes we have to stop listening to them. And don't be a crap magnet. I forget, one of my mentors told me that, but just, so many people are just all about negativity, and they just attract negativity and talk to all, like, eliminate it and get rid of it. And so this is where I got the idea of radio voice. Actually, it was a book recommendation from Ed several years ago, called Mastery of Technology for Excellence and Personal Evolution. He says, every time you go to do something big with your life, the little radio voice kicks on and tells you all the reasons why you can't do it. So just ignore the radio voice, because you guys, as you build something big, this radio voice is going to get real loud. The higher the risk, the bigger the things you do, that radio voice is going to kick in and it's going to tell you to stop. So before your presentation, what do we do to prepare, right? I don't know if you've ever seen Steph Curry, the basketball player. You ever watched, Tiger Woods, or whoever the good guys are now, Scotty Scheffler. Like, what do they do before they go out and hit a round of golf balls, or before they go out and play golf? They go hit golf balls. They hit golf balls afterwards. And so many people will go to practice, they'll practice all day and they'll go do a presentation like it's an afterthought. Your presentation is probably the most important thing that you're doing that day to grow your practice. And people don't get prepared for it all. Preparation, the presenter can take some preliminary steps to get the presentation off to a good start and eliminate the radio voice. Because now we've got to eliminate all the voices in our head of, oh man, what if they don't like it? What if they get mad? What if they don't sign up? All that crap is going to mess up your presentation. So the basic idea, encourage a relaxed and cooperative environment so the prospective patient will neither challenge nor impede the presentation and the closing process. And that all comes from your mindset. You will create whether there's friction in that room or not. You will eliminate the friction or you'll cause friction. But a lot of this has to do with your preparation. So here's what I do. Really simple. I got this out of something that a book recommended to me by a guy named Dave D, who does a lot of sales. And he said, it's a short, simple description of how you want to or intend the presentation to go. And it's going to sound silly, guys, but again, I'm only teaching you what I've done. Okay. So this is what I would say in my head when I would go. I like you, you like me, this is going to go really well. I like you, you like me, this is going to go really well. I would run this script in my head so that I was in the right place and I was excited to be there. And I know they're going to like me. I know that I'm going to like them. And I go in there just trying to find stuff I like about people. And so you mentally recite it to yourself as you prepare. You meet attendees. Rerun that script. Obviously, you're not saying it out loud. You're going to sound weird. But this is the kind of stuff that you have in your head. It's the same thing that Og Mandino taught in The Greatest Salesman in the World. And he taught to, before you went in with a prospect, you say, I love this person and I'm going to help them. I love this person and I'm going to help them. And if you go in with that love and that care and knowing that you're going to like this person and love them and take care of them, it changes the whole interaction. It takes all that friction away. And all of a sudden that weight is lifted off of you. So it's especially important if you feel like the audience is a deer in headlights. Okay. Because sometimes you're talking and they're just staring at you and it feels real weird up there. And you have to say, like, okay, I like you, you like me, this is going to go really well. And start interacting with people, right? Get your brain back in the game. Why do some players play in the zone sometimes and not in other times? Mind scripts. It's what's going on that's messing up their mind, and you got to stay in the game. And you got to do this stuff to stay in the game. I'm giving you the tools that you can say it's silly. But again, I always say, if someone says, do you have a good attitude? Well, all I have to do is look at results, because your attitude is going to determine the results. Because if I say this to a lot of doctors, that's silly, Scott. Then they get there, they've got people deer in headlights, they screw up the talk and they're screwed. So, you can think of it as, oh man, this is super valuable and I'm going to do this and I'm going to be successful with it. So how you come across to people depends on many things, not just what you say, obviously, your body language, tone of voice, facial expressions, gestures, energy. All of it plays a role. So these scripts act as like a master control. What I was saying is it's like takes a weight off, and all of a sudden you're in this wonderful feeling, a good vibration that creates the results that you want. Have you ever met someone and you're like, oh, that person just didn't feel weird. That was strange. You can't give off that energy. And running mind scripts can help you to give off the right energy when you're in front of people. So, what are some questions for mindset? How important is what you do? Are you going there thinking, like, I have to get these people in because if they don't, they're going to do surgery? They could get hooked on drugs. Like, they could get a surgical site infection. They could die. Like, how important is it to you? Is it worth running mind scripts and practicing? Because that person's life is in your hands when they're sitting in front of you, giving their time that night. So, how serious is it to you? How dedicated are you to make it work? Are you going to go the extra mile? Are you going to go past the third no and just plead with them like you would with your mom, like you would with your brother, your sister, your kids, to do the right thing so that they can get the result that you know that they can get? How hard will you work and how far will you go to get that done? Walt Disney didn't see his job as drawing cartoons. It was much more. I'm not going to play this whole clip here, but basically what he's talking about is when Walt did the movie Fantasia, they said, you know, Walt, like, this is going to be a good cartoon and da da da. And he said, this is not a cartoon. So we're changing worlds. We are changing the world and how they see things and experience things. And he thought of everything as so much more. And you need to think about your presentation as so much more than just getting up in front of people and telling them about some scientific research. And you're going to see here in a second why that doesn't work. But you've got to be the right person in front of that person with the right mindset and really just being totally focused on changing that person's life and not willing to let them get out of there with going back to drugs and surgery and those things that we know are going to be detrimental to them. So ambiance and experience is something that we do. More techniques we do and other talks that we do. But in this, I'll just give you a couple things. Honestly, it's just how do you interact with the server at the dinner? Or how do you set up your office? How do you set up when they come into your office? Does it smell good? Is there music? What's the experience? Make sure they have a good experience. When people came into my seminars, I knew my people were basically 50 to 60 and up. So I was playing golden oldies. I was playing music that they love. I didn't play the music that I listen to, even though I like the oldies, but I played what they like, right? Give them an experience and an ambiance that makes them at ease and makes them feel good. So the big idea is huge. The big idea is foundational for your talk, okay? So if you don't have this, you're not even going to be able to build a talk that will work, okay? So we've got to be able to have the idea and deliver on the promise to the audience. So it's very important we can demonstrate that we understand how the world looks to other people in the room. We have to clearly define and articulate consequences and the danger of not adopting this big idea and going out and achieving that promise. So we've got to clearly define and articulate the rewards of adopting that big idea and going after that promise. So what is that? It's the belief system. Remember we talked about transforming their belief system and the identity? The big idea is all about identity and beliefs. So the big idea doesn't have to be different to make a difference, right? How many books or speeches are out there on this about thinking big or taking action? There's a million of them. Everyone just does it differently, right? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the ultimate close, the ultimate, this and that, magic of thinking big, Think and Grow Rich. These are all different big ideas. I mean, Think and Grow Rich is stuck around for whatever it is now, 70 years or more. When you have a big idea that catches on, that's when people see this belief system and this identity. Like I'm a Think and Grow Rich, I'm a Napoleon Hill guy, I'm a Dan Kennedy marketing guy. People identify with big ideas. So there's people out there that need your message, and it's your responsibility to reach those people. We're not entitled to any attention. We're not entitled to any audiences. We're not entitled to anyone listening or adopting our big idea. And a lot of doctors get up there and think like, oh, I'm the doctor, I'm awesome, and I'm going to blow them away with my science. No, they don't have to listen to you. They don't have to like what you're saying. You've got to earn it. You've got to really work on this stuff and make sure you earn their ear and earn their attention, and earn you know their trust to be able to come in and trust you. So you earn those things and you get that opportunity to change how they see the world and then eventually be able to help them. So some examples, I've already gone over some. Think and Grow Rich, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? What's the whole idea? One dad was rich, one dad was poor. Don't do what the poor guy did what the rich, do what the rich guy did. Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, the E Myth. There's one on chiropractor, but there's a regular one too. I bought into this idea. You can't be the technician. The entrepreneurial myth is that, when you have a business, you're an entrepreneur. You're not an entrepreneur if you just have a business. You're an entrepreneur if you lead businesses, if you own businesses. And that's kind of like he does in the cash flow quadrant, Robert Kiyosaki. Talk about be a business owner and investor. So these are just examples. And so we want to take that into whether it's diabetes or functional medicine or stem cell, biologics. It's what's that big idea we're going to bring to our patients. So healthcare examples, don't operate, rehydrate, right? That's something that we did with spinal decompression. Go from operate to regenerate. We did that with stem cells. The power that made the body is the power that heals the body. Stem cell, chiro, all natural things that we do. Don't mask the problem, heal the problem, right? That'd be like with neuropathy, pain syndromes. If you mask it, what's going to happen to your leg or your toes if we just mask it, right? Yeah, we got to heal it now, don't we? So break the addiction, live without affliction or restriction, getting off pain pills. These are just ideas we can take to people. And I'll tell you guys, the biggest one I used with stem cell was the power that made the body is the power that heals the body. And I would always, and I'll talk about callbacks here in a second, but I talk about the power that made the body is the power that heals the body all the way through. I get them to agree that that is correct. And then by the end of it, I say, hey, if you're like me and you believe that the power that made the body is the power that heals the body, like come in and see us, right? And they've already said they agree, they believe in it, and then that's a callback to get them to sign up. So promises versus rewards. So promises, you can fix your problem, you'll avoid surgery. Okay, that's nice, but that doesn't do anything for them, for their identity, for what it's going to mean to their life. Rewards are financial, emotional, physical, spiritual, right? A benefit you get from the result. And we've always got to be focused on rewards and not promises, right? It's walking your dog again, walking around the block, going to the grocery store without having to sit down 4 times, being able to go to the park with your grandkids. It's all the rewards that people are really interested in. So let me jump into reframing. And I have on here Chiro and MD because that's my specific situation that I had to do some reframing. So let me talk about what it is first. Okay. Here we go. Everyone looks at something through one frame. You change the meaning by having them see it through a different frame or reference. Okay. So they've got one paradigm and one way that they see it. What things mean to you always depend on what you compare and contrast them with, right? What are nice accommodations? Actually, this is one when we were at a Disney hotel, the Grand Floridian, at one of our conferences. And, it's like if you only stay at Four Seasons and you go to the Grand Floridian, you'll be like, it's okay. But if you only stayed at Holiday Inns and you go to the Grand Floridian, you're like, this is the best hotel I've ever been to in my life. This is amazing, right? It always depends on compare and contrast. So I am a chiropractor, and that's the frame they have. So I had to reframe who I was to them through a story. So they're not sitting there the whole time like, what's this chiropractor doing talking about stem cells? So I had to tell a whole story that took them through a reframe. So by the end, they're like, oh, that's why he's doing it. That makes total sense why Dr. Scott is doing this, and his medical teams will do all the services and the treatments and all that kind of stuff. So if I don't do that, they're thinking all the way through the talk, what he's a chiropractor, what does he know? Right? Like that is such a huge part of the talk. And a lot of people would throw it out and not even do they wouldn't reframe people on who they were. So they see medicine and their doctor in a certain way, and you've got to reframe how they set that. I did that through what I call the burner story. And that's something that we teach all of our docs, and that is basically getting them to go from I'll just do what insurance covers, medicine, injections, to oh my gosh, that's the dumbest thing in the world. I need to find something that really works. And we do that through a story. We don't say your medical doctor is dumb and all that's stupid and you need to do what we do because we're the smartest. Nope. We tell them a story and they figure it out for themselves and the like light bulb goes off and they realize they can no longer do injections or pain medication. So they've already got thoughts about stem cells, chiropractic, and you've got to make sure they're in the right frame. Again, this is the transformation of their identity and their belief system over to how you think and how they need to think to be able to take right actions, right? If they don't think that they're going to be able to, you know, get the result from you, or they don't think that you're credible, you haven't reframed it right, then you've lost. So how do they have to see you to know, like, and trust you? And we do that in stories. What do they have to think about the world of medicine to choose your service? So what I do is I think about all these objections and then I come up with a story for it. Okay. So, and that's one of the things we train our docs on is how to create stories because you never want to lie. You're not going to you're not going to make up a story. You're going to use a real story from your life that is emotional and something that you can speak about passionately every single time that's real. Because if you're lying and making crap up, people are going to see through it and they're going to see you for who you are. You should never be lying in your talks. How do they have to see themselves in order to take action? And we address that in the close, which I'm going to go through in a second. How do people behave that are like you? People that believe in this big idea. Again, that's identity, guys. Getting them to think and behave like the identity that we're talking about. So we're going to skip through that. So why use story? We use it to reframe. We use it to take people to a specific place, right? If I was to say to you, I could start saying, hey, man, I just went back to Ohio to visit family where I'm from. And I walked through my elementary school. And it was so wild just walking down those halls, seeing those lockers, seeing the classrooms where I used to go to third grade, and just the lights and just everything, the cafeteria, I totally remember it. And as I'm talking about those things, you might be thinking in your mind about your elementary school, about your cafeteria, about it's just how the human brain works. And so we'll use stories to get people to start going somewhere, literally a physical location. Uh, use to install patterns in the way you want them to think. Again, belief and identity, and it puts them in a trance. And people in a trance are open-minded. Okay. So to build your story, use people in your life. Think about people you've known, best friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, you've had, places you've been. Where'd you grow up going on vacation? Where did you go every week with your family? What restaurants did you go to? Think of nostalgic type stuff. Think of things in your life, your first car. Think of your first, football game or, first football that you got, first toy that you got. I mean, it could be first business you had, events in your life. What's happened in your life that's been, the day you got married, the day you had your first kid. For me, one of the events I use is when I was at camp, got there the first day and put my hand right down on a red hot burner, burnt the heck out of my hand and ruined my vacation. And I was able to take that story and totally change their mind with it. So people in your life, friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, teachers, the worst one, the best one, mentors. What story can you create from a story about a person? I had one with my wife and I going snorkeling that really connects with people and being in pain and feeling underwater and feeling like they're going to drown. And then we tell them we're going to send them the lifeboat for that. Places you've been, home, school, where you hung out, vacations, where you went to undergrad, places you've been forced to go, weddings, jury duty, reunions, What story could you do about places? A tragic vacation, a miserable experience at a reunion. All these things, you guys, are just go back into your brain. It's there. You just haven't thought about it in a long time, and you got to do the work to come up with these things. And when you do the work, it works like magic in the talk. First car, first home, hobbies, collections, toys, clothes, shoes. And what lesson did you learn from your first car? First bad investment, a story about getting your first home loan, about being a musician. What did you learn from practicing hard to reach a high level in something? Sports, art, music, events, your wedding, your graduation, children, when you open your practice, right? Story about, I always talked about when I was in my first car accident, my first experience at a chiropractor when I started working to talk to people about chiropractic. So, in story, Aristotle's got a three-act structure. There's always the exposition, the given circumstances, what people need to know for the story to make sense, who, what, when, where, right? And you slice it down to just those things. Just give enough info to move into Act Two. It's very, very short. Most people spend too much time giving background on a story that is just boring the crap out of people. You need to come up with your story, and then you're going to edit the heck out of it to get it as tight as you can so they have all the information they need and just the key points. And keep it positive. Don't say, oh, like I got sick and I was so bad and this and that. No one wants to hear your poor you victim story. You got to keep it positive and fun and light. People buy when they're in a good mood. So it's got to be fun and light. They got to see that you're having a good time and not playing the victim up there. So, in the conflict, what's the problem? Medicine isn't working. What are the obstacles? Don't have info, don't know what to do, money. What keeps them from achieving what you want to achieve? What's the struggle, right? What's the struggle that you went through? Like I would always tell people that I couldn't get the results that I wanted with my chiropractic patients with when I'd have to refer them out for surgery for knee or back or this or that. It just drove me crazy. And I had to figure out something. And, that was my struggle in practice to find stem cell. And many times, this can be the most substance, the biggest part of the story. And then the last thing is the resolution. How does it end? Stem cells changes everything. Um, Medicine's changing. Stem cells are the future of medicine, right? Things are changing. Don't get left behind. It's transformation. May not be a good ending if you still keep doing it the old way. And the audience should feel complete at the end, that they got the answer, the end of the story. They know the progress and they know, you know what, this is for me. So example story format. Here's who I am, what I do, and what I'll do for you. Have you ever experienced pain, struggle, agitated? I have too.
Hey,
And I went through
Scott,
this. Yeah, Ed.
I want to bring up this point because we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Can you go back to that part where you said the audience should feel complete by the end of the story?
Yep.
I know you guys are probably feeling like you're drinking from a fire hose. So when I go, I'll slow down some of it, and then when Scott goes in the last hour together, we'll definitely break things down for you. The audience should feel complete at the end of the story. That is the key of getting pre-educated, pre-qualified, ready to move forward patients.
Mhm.
If they don't, then what happens is, and Scott's going to share, you were going to share when you come back on how you close, correct? I think that'd be great afterwards because I think we should spend a little time on that because
Yep.
you could do a lot of things wrong, but as you'll see in a minute, if you clearly call out the pain and they know that you're understanding their problem better than they do, or like they're like, wow, this person finally understands me. And this could be all across regen, right? I know we're talking about stem cells, but like if like let's say it's testosterone, I can relate to it. It's just I'm always fatigued. I'm not sleeping well. I don't know what's going on. My mood's not there. I don't want to work out. I don't want to have sex. I don't want to have like if you're experiencing any of these pain, they're like, oh my gosh, he or she's talking directly to me. If you can identify that pain, relate to them and then close out solidly so that they feel like, okay, this is great. This is exactly what I was looking for. I feel good about moving forward. Now
Mhm.
your staff can't screw it up. Well, they can, but the probability is so low where what a lot of people do as a mistake is they get prospective patients and prospective customers all the way to the end, and then they oversell them. They start trying to convince them, and it's pushy. And this presentation eliminates all those worries and concerns. So when done
Yeah.
right. So I want to close that. It's a key
Yeah,
distinction.
keep chiming in, man, when stuff clicks like that. That's good. So the format, who am I? This is what I do, this is what I'll do for you. I've ever experienced. I have two story. Here's the results I've gotten. And would you like those results too? So uh, here's the results I've got for others. Go through the framework that you have. Here's the do's and don'ts. And now that you know the system and how to use it, this is how people screw it up. Don't do this. And then here's the first thing you do once you finish this. Tell people what they need to do at the end. Most people will get to the end of their talk and be like, thanks for coming out tonight. Maybe they're clapping and they're happy they were there, but you don't ask them to do anything. You don't tell them, okay, great. Next step is going to be blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. We'll do that in the close. But this decreases no-show rate like crazy, and they're going to be very happy once you do this. So if you've had a lot of no-shows, this is a way to like really get rid of that problem. So be extreme in your stories. Don't lie, but be extreme. Make them fun, right? Use your most fun, crazy stories. Like my snorkeling story was like a tragic story. It was like one of the worst days of my wife and I's life. But now we look back and laugh at it, and I can use it in a story. So it's really a fun thing you can do. So don't say things like a little bit of, or a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You've got to be very confident in what you say. It was the worst day of my life. It was crazy. It was so tough. And you can embellish, but just don't lie. Okay, you can embellish them to make them fun. So my story, struggle discovery, chiropractor by trade, practiced 13 years, couldn't get the results like I was saying. Saw that medicine was failing. Quit chiropractic, went on the journey, found this, and went crazy with stem cell. I thought I could do PRP, so I'm going to discredit some other things that they're thinking of. I thought I'd do PRP and other things, but stem cell changed everything for me. Tried it myself, worked for my hands, my feet. I thought this would help others, and my mission now is to bring this to the masses. It's the pinnacle of what I do, and I love bringing it to you, and that's why I'm so excited to be out here. Okay, now, humor. You got to use humor in your talks, and I'm going to try to finish this up super fast, guys. Humor. Dan Kennedy always said, they asked him, do you have to make people laugh in your talk? It's like, no, you don't have to, only if you want to sell something, right? So, like I said, keep it fun and keep it funny. Okay, so have jokes that you have pre-planned. I'm naturally like not the funniest guy, but I like put jokes in there, and like if I say something one time and it works, I'm like, oh, I'll keep doing that.
This is the funniest you've been all day, Scott.
Yeah, there you go. I'm normally pretty boring. So Walt called him gags in his film, and he was meticulous. And he's like, we have to have like 9 gags per X amount of minutes, because he knew you had to get them laughing every so once in a while to keep them entertained. But you're not using it to be funny. You're using it to keep it light. It's used to pivot from a story into the big idea, right? You could go from a funny or a serious story into the big idea. Humor is about being effective and keeping people engaged. It's not about being funny. It's about, you've heard of like pattern interrupt, right? Humor is a pattern interrupt that gets them like re-engaged. So if you want to change the world through your speaking, you've got to use humor. Start with something positive and funny to get the audience on your side. That's why comedians actually, when they go up, hey, give a hand for so-and-so, right? They were great, da-da-da. They're getting people clapping already for them and in a good mood, even if that last comic sucked, right? It's like, Joe Schmo from that town, and they didn't even think they were funny, but they're going to do that. So example to start my Chiro talk, one of the things that I did is that I would hold up like a plastic spine and say, does anyone know what this is? And, and they say spine. Like, you're right. I just want to make sure you knew it wasn't the last patient that didn't pay their bill or anything like that. Or I forget exactly how he said it, but I always got to laugh. And so I knew I could get them laughing right at the beginning. So as you can see, it takes a lot of work for me to be funny. You can get the audience in on a shared experience with you. That's a lot of what humor does. It gets you guys to laugh together. And when you're together, they're on your side, they're on your team, and it connects you all. So people need to see that you're genuinely having fun, and when you're not just up there like monotone, just delivering to get it over with. Be focused, be happy, be engaged. It's contagious. They're gonna have fun and be engaged when you're happy and having fun and engaged. And it's contagious if you're not funny and not having a good time. So if everyone's ticked off at your seminar, you need to look back at yourself, record your seminar, listen to it, watch it, be like, what the heck do I need to do to get people engaged and having a good time? So humor can set you up to be effective with your crowd. The most important part of using humor is to pivot after you set them up and deliver the change you want to embrace. So what is the pivot? I would do the funny story about snorkeling. And it's the fact that things are not always as they seem, and that many times it's much more complicated. So I did this story about snorkeling that they're all laughing through the whole thing, and it's just crazy. And I go from a funny story to say, but don't you just feel underwater sometimes? Like the waves just keep crashing over your head. Everyone tells you this is going to fix your problem. This medicine, take a little bit more of this medicine. And what? You're still underwater.
Yeah.
Has anyone helped you get out of the water? No. Well, that's what we're here to talk about tonight. So I take it from fun and funny to drop it into a serious tone. I totally pivot. And they're like, yeah, yeah. So this is a way to get the audience seeing the world different from when they came in. Literally, in a few minutes, you have reframed them. You get them to look at the problem from a totally new perspective. What is that? New belief system, new identity. So, humor, it's funny because it's true. So, get them to look at something from a different angle, right? This comes from what we call digging for gold. Digging for gold. What does a comedian do? They walk around with a joke book, and when something seems weird, they write it down. They're like, I think I can make a joke about that. Now, what they do is they dig for gold and they try to make that funny. So you have to come up with the story, and then it's like, what's the funny part about this? What's the funny thing about how I ordered my food? And, what's the funny thing about when I went on that snorkeling trip? So look at things in a way that people don't normally look at them. And that's what a punchline is, right? Things are funny because they're true. Just think about Seinfeld. So funny because all he did was talk about everyday life. And that is hilarious when you can look at it from a different way. So George Carlin always said the job of a stand-up comedian is reminding you of the things you forgot to laugh at. And that's what we're doing. If you can get them to laugh at stuff they forgot to laugh at, you've got control of that audience. So digging for gold, a birthday party. Did you have a crazy birthday party experience? What was funny about it? Adult stress, balloons. What's funny about balloons? Pinatas, a jumpy house, clowns. These are all things from a birthday, right? So how do I find and oh man, that clown totally scared that kid and he peed himself and what's funny about that? How can I make that? You can take anything and dig for gold and make it happen. So the presents, kids fighting, screaming, yelling, party favors. I always say that about Disney, right? Like the kids are having a blast and the parents are stressed to all hell and they're having a horrible time, trying to figure stuff out. Cleaning up after everyone leaves. It's messy. Dad looking for a place to set things down. He's always walking around and can't find a place to set stuff down. He's always getting new stuff. There's funny stuff and everything. So you have to do jokes about medicine. So waiting for the doctor, never seeing the doctor, wait for your doctor, then doesn't look at you or touch you, takes 2 seconds with you, writes your prescription. How everyone looks in the waiting room, right? It's like everyone's there for a funeral. I'll be dead before I get in. Practice never works. Just upping meds, and they're practicing. They never get it right. How nervous you get going to your doctor. Tells you to stop the obvious. Think of Patch Adams, Doogie Howser, House, Grey's Anatomy, stuff that people know, and how can you relate to people with popular things? Compare covering up others' problems in life, car problems, house repairs, kid issues. Like, would you cover that up like you're covering up your knee pain? Would you cover up, would you just let your roof continue to leak and put duct tape over it? Or would you fix it so you don't have a bigger problem? Well, what are we doing with our knee? Right? Why do we keep covering it up and think it's different than our roof? That's silly, isn't it? Right? Yeah, yeah. So I'm not going to play this, guys. We got to get going. This is I'm just going to go through this. All right. Uh, Digging for gold. I think you got the point of it. You'll get better and better at this. The more you use it, paying for the silver, work for the gold. When you see your favorites, Seinfeld, Robin Williams, Chris Rock, whoever. My favorite's Nate Bargatze right now. Like, look at the stuff they're doing and try to like figure out how they came to that conclusion of that joke. If you get them there laughing, stay in the moment, work it. Like if they're laughing and you can do another joke and elongate it, do it, milk it. It connects everybody. Um, okay, the callback. As you see, I got a lot of Star Wars stuff in here. The callback. We do this. Put a nice bow on everything you just heard. This is near the end of the seminar. You reference something you mentioned earlier in the talk. I talk about how the power that made the body is the power that heals the body. Tells your audience that you're done. A lot of people will get to the end of a talk and there's like this weird dead silence because they don't know if you're going to say anything else, if you're going to, is he done? What's he going to do now? Right? So I'd always wrap it up with that callback. And you can do this in the close, which we'll go through. They can't be sitting there thinking, is he done? What's going on? So here we go. So if you believe that I do, that the power of the main body is the power that heals the body, you're tired of covering up serious issues with cortisone, pain pills, even getting surgery, then make the decision today to go a different direction. Let the power that made your body heal your body. We look forward to meeting with you to see if regenerative medicine is right for you and if it may even change your life for the better forever. Then they just know it's time to clap. Like, but most people don't do this. So rehearsal, this is practice, guys. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because I want to move fast. If you play sports or an instrument, you don't get good without practice. Daily practice. You've got to practice your talk. As a musician, like I play guitar. I've got my guitar right back here. I play it all the time because I want to be good at it. Have you ever practiced your talks like you've practiced sports, like you practice your musical instrument? I would guess the answer is no, and that's why most people suck. But the best thing about that is your competition sucks. They're not going to do this. It's so easy to get above your competition with this and just dominate. So, um, important rehearsal isn't really practice. Okay. Practice is doing something after you know exactly how you're going to do it. Rehearsal is kind of like figuring it out. So many times you do rehearsal, nothing like you'll present at the end. And what I'm talking about is as you learn this tool, you're going to rehearse it, and here's how you do it. If you've ever seen a TED Talk that's changed you or excited you, or a keynote that's inspired you, no doctors are practicing like Steve Jobs practices his talks, like Tim Cook practices his talks, like Simon Sinek practices his talks. Do you think people remember anything the other doctors say? No, because they suck. We remember good talks and presentations that changed our belief system and our identity. This is a picture of when they're getting ready to do the Star Wars Episode 1. They get together and they sit there and they just read through the script. They're not trying to act. They're not trying to do it. They're not trying to be that character. They're literally reading it. So you do a table reading, content mapping, like how do I want this thing to move? A lot of times I would like move paragraphs around because it flowed better. Improv and rewriting after that. At first, you're just reading it. You're reading the script that we give you, and then you can start to improv and like put your little twist on it, but you don't want to change it too much. Invited rehearsal. I always like to do, when I started stem cell in my practice, I invited everyone from my chiropractic practice. These people already know, liked, and trust me. So I could do a little rehearsal with people that already knew me and liked me. So it wasn't like a cold audience. Then you can do an open rehearsal, get a little people, cold people in here, do dress tech, like that's more technical, but that's like you're you're doing it, you got the restaurant, you're ready to go. So table reading, just this is getting used to saying the words, you're not performing. Content mapping, you're just making sure you have the right words in the right place as you do it. This is getting the right beat. Comedians always talk about the beat. Pausing is huge, right? The way I'm presenting right now is not good because I'm just trying to fire hose you and go super fast. This is not necessarily how you're going to give a presentation to people for stem cell. Improv and rewriting, you start to free it up. Here after the first two steps, you start to allow new things to come out. Now that you know the content, you know the order, you know the operative words you're saying, and you feel there's something missing. If I said this one little thing, it would make so much more sense. Then you can do that, right? But you hear new words coming out of your mouth, you record yourself, and you might say something one talk, and you hear it back and you're like, oh, I got to add that to every talk. So now you add it to your script because they laughed like crazy. You always want to be able to keep that stuff. You got to record everything to make sure you remember. Just like every musician, when they come up with a little lick, they're going to record it because they know they're not going to remember it. Get people in front of you for your feedback. Get your staff in front of you. Get your family, get your friends in front of you to see what they say sooner rather than later. And choose them wisely. Don't get people that uh, don't know anything about what you're doing and are totally against what you're doing. But be specific about what you want them to look for and the kind of feedback you want. Hey, if you ever notice that you're nodding off, or I say or I say that a lot. Unfortunately, you've probably caught on to that. But if you're saying or kind of or sort of or a little bit, all these different things, have them point that out. Hey, write down every time I said it and where I say it, right? So mark down where you zone out and when you come back, because then we know we're getting boring there. We're going to have to put some humor there. So then you can do a big presentation, get a larger audience. Your target demographic is better. Patient base is great for this. And then that's address text when we're going in front of people. We're legit. We're ready to go. We're up there looking good. Perfect environment. You've got the right, you feel good. You feel good. You've got good clothes on. You are at your best. You feel your best. You look your best. That's what you're doing. So the 8 keys: organization, mental prep, big idea, reframing, having stories in the right places, using humor in the right places, the callback, and the rehearsal. I'm going to stop right there, Ed. I'm going to hand it over to you, and then we'll go into the close. I'll go ahead and stop sharing after you are done.
Am I
So,
allowed to share my screen yet? Yeah, awesome, awesome. Hey, everybody, if you had to use the restroom, you got to do something real quick, go for it. I'm gonna ask you in the upper hand screen, you're gonna see view, and if you could click on speaker, you'll be able to see like just when I start showing my stuff, you'll be able to see things a little bit easier. Number two is uh the uh the I know Scott went quickly on that, but the value in there is pretty incredible. What I want to hit on real quick is before I start my presentation is like the why go to the one to many model and 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 the other thing I'm going to show you here in a minute is that if you decide to use a sales rep or somebody else to do the presentation for you, and this is what Scott and I will talk about when we talk about scaling. Because I worked with doctors my whole life and my career, and I'll tell you about it here in a second. It was mostly with dentists, so you'll see some of my slides bring up dentists. I work a lot with personal injury attorneys. I obviously work very very closely with Dr. Scott, and so when we go through this, you're going to see a few things that where the uh, I may say like I'll give you I'm going to show you examples from different industries, right? And I would consider that to be a very good thing for all of us because it all the breakthroughs and the trends have always come from outside industries. They never come from inside industries. And there's a term that Scott brought up, Dan Kennedy. Dan was one of my mentors as well in a marketing side. And he always talked about the idea of marketing incest. And yeah, totally uh, weird topic to talk about. However, it was under the idea that everybody's looking at each other and they're doing the same exact stuff that everybody else is doing. And so what happens there is that nobody is being unique or different in any single way. And it's a trap that is in almost in every industry that's out there, which when I say it's a trap, I think that's what a great advantage for all of us, especially right now. There's never been a better time to get really, really good at what we're delivering to you today. And so I'm going to show you my focal point here is I'll get a little more granular and specifically about what ads should you be running, how do you fill the event, And then I think you'll really like it because we're going to talk about just the math behind making the money and growing your business uh, from a marketing perspective, um, and viewing it as an investment that pays you so you get paid to get paid and build wealth. Does that sound good? Does that sound good to you? If that sounds good, go ahead and just let me know you're alive out there and you say that sounds good, Ed. And I appreciate it. We have our team looking at comments and I see there's comments coming in. So I appreciate you. Please say that sounds good and we're going to get started, right? I'm not going to move as quickly strategically and on purpose. Because what we're going to talk about is how do you become the game changing office that people when they think about whether it's stem cells, whether they think about peptides, hormones, you become the place they talk about. Okay. And so let me give you a little bit of this. It's the number new way to add an extra 5 to 25 high paying cash patients. And so the formula that we're teaching today, and Scott and I decided to work together on this, is that uh, if you really want to be really good at this and you want to stand out in a cluttered marketplace where everybody's spending money, and right now, if you're noticing lead costs are higher than ever, that competition seems higher than ever, that the purse strings on a lot of the population seems tighter than ever, you're not alone. And so how do you stand out in that kind of world, right? And so the formula that has always worked for me when I finally discovered it, it's the same exact formula that Scott uh, came across and then turned it into a one-to-many model and now makes it available to people like you. So if a lot of the stuff that I go in depth here, we have the opportunity to teach you some of it, and then we have the opportunity to work with you on it. Okay, in our program, our licensing program, our mentoring program, and so I'm going to go through some of those actual assets, the ads today. But it is always target one pain, driving the one proven message, and build trust before they ever walk in the door. Okay. Now, what happens when you do that? We get text messages like this. We got a $24,000 case that came in, a $12,000 half paid, and this is from one of my implant docs. Here's the coolest thing I want to show you. He was generating leads at $8 per lead locally on $15 a day daily budget. Now, I think you should spend more than that. I think you should minimally be spending 30 to 50 bucks a day if you plan on actually growing your business. Once you have something that's working, which is always in the testing phase until it's not, I believe that you should be at 100 bucks a day minimally. That's 3,000 a month. And even if it works barely well, it is the best employee that you'll ever hire. Does that make sense? I would rather spend $3,000 a month bringing people that should be in your office into your office to spend money with you than just buying. You're going to spend money anyway, right? You're going to have overhead. I bet you if we sat there and we like together, me and you, we literally went through what are you spending on your monthly budget, and you need to carve out 3 grand a month minimum to grow your business minimum. Now we talk to people daily that are spending 15, 50, and obviously Scott's client that they did multiple millions last month. They're spending a lot more than that. Okay. And we'll break down some of the math here in a minute. Okay. So mentally, I'm building assets. So every ad is an asset. Every piece of content is an asset. Every workshop piece, whether I decide to turn it into a webinar that just works for me, okay, and you're going to see different models here in a moment, are assets. And if you want income to be producing for you without worrying about where your next patient's going to come from or next client's going to come from next month, you need to have multiple assets working for you um, automatically. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's something you can build on and you can borrow and you can trade. In fact, I'll tell you that my first success story, how I got into dentistry. This actually, let me turn this off real quick. I'll stop sharing for a moment. This is a really important thing. I was sitting. I got my nursing degree. I played volleyball in college, and I started like studying books like Think and Grow Rich, Brian Tracy, How to Set Goals. And I was like, I don't want to be a nurse. I want to like be an entrepreneur. Which for many of you who are entrepreneurs, you realize like when you're an entrepreneur, you're actually broke a lot until you figure out how to not be broke. Does that make sense? And so I was in a market because I work with high level athletes and I was teaching mental toughness and I was doing speaking and I was working with world class athletes. And you'd think that was the best thing ever, but I was broke because it doesn't matter how good you are at anything. Write this down. It's the biggest lie that's ever told anybody who goes into professional practices, clinics, med spas, functional medicine. You're a doctor, you're not a doctor. It doesn't matter to me. You could be a dentist, you could be an attorney, you could be a financial planner. You could be the best in the world at financial planning. Nobody cares if they have no idea who you are, who you've helped, how you help them. And all they care about is, I am in pain. Can you solve my pain? Period. End of discussion. And they're not seeking you out. I can look at this like 1 mile radius in my house right now, and I can find 3 to 4 different chiros, functional medicine, and med spas, all within like literally a 4 to 6, 7, 8 block radius. And you want to ask me what is different between all those? The only way I could tell you is if I went into every single one of them, tried them out, and then I came back out and I wrote a review and I did all that, right? Well, no one does that, right? They usually rely on word of mouth, unpredictable, doesn't work, isn't scalable, isn't consistent. So we have to propaganda our way into doing that. We have to become marketers. We have to become the first person. Now, what I realized was, as I was learning all this stuff, is I fell in love with marketing. Just kind of, I'm giving you my background, but it's going to relate to you in about 1 second. You're going to get it right now. And one of my mentors was licensing the rights to his material on teaching businesses how to grow their business. You know, guys, this is 22 years ago. I know I only look like I'm 30, but I'm a little bit older than that. And so the thing about it is that I wanted to help business owners, but I didn't have a manual, a thing or whatever in order to help business owners. And I didn't know who to go after or how to go after them. I didn't know any of that stuff, but I trusted that they knew how. So what I did, guess what I did? I borrowed money from my oldest brother because remember, I was broke. I was really good at what I did, but I was broke, coaching volleyball, speaking to world-class athletes, but I was broke. I could not figure it out. Why? Because I didn't have a system. And I saw somebody who had a system. So I borrowed 10 grand from my brother. And I went and I paid 5K for the deposit on the licensing. Then I paid the next 5K the next month. And then I paid them 10% of my revenue for the next 3 years. And then it dropped down to a lower number. And then I did a buyout and it took me a minute. It took me a minute to figure it out. But I had the ads. They mentored me on how to identify the target market, which most of us are in the similar target market. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But what I'm talking about is I teach a concept called the leapfrog theory. And if you want to get where you want to get faster than you currently would do it on your own, you need to figure out a way to leapfrog to the top. And there's only so many ways to do that. Number one, you either keep testing things on your own, which is a really inexpensive way to do it, or you buy other people's intellectual property. Okay. And so that's what I did. And so later in this, when Scott talks about how well, I'll get to that in a second. I'm going to show you examples of it. But like when I say when we run ads or when I create an ad for our clients and they license it, what that means is that ad they can actually run in their own area. Okay. So if they're not good, this is where I was going to this. If you don't feel you're good at some of these things, there's other solutions. Like if you're like, I cannot speak on camera like Ed's speaking right now. First of all, it's I've been doing this for 20 something years. So if you judge yourself, you're just and we compare each other, like I can't do what you do, and I don't have your vibe and your backstory, and I don't have all those things. So people are going to be really attracted to you more than you'd be than you'd think. Like certain people will be attracted to me, some are going to be attracted to you, some are going to be attracted to Scott. And it really doesn't matter about those things, but you can leverage yourself without judging yourself. Please don't judge yourself, but there's opportunity. So you got to build assets like that. Now, what is an asset? So we already talked about that. We got our ads, our content, our workshop, our follow-up, our phone system, our follow-up system, our communication system, and what we say as our message has to be different. And I'm going to show you examples of what not to do. Like, don't do some of these things. Why? Because we've tested them and they don't work. But I am going to show you things you should do. Why? Because if you literally want to be the only person that's in a cluttered market and stand out, you got to be different. Okay. I'm in my office right now. I'm looking for my book. I'll show you in a second. But by a show of hands, anybody out there right now that's on this, do you have are you an author yet? Like, do you have a book? Right? And it's okay if you say no, like, it doesn't matter. If you do, say, yeah, I do. That's amazing, right? You're an author. And do you speak on stages a lot? And are you interviewed on podcasts a lot? Have you been on TV lately? Like these are all like ways that the external world sees what a celebrity is. Okay. But they don't know that if you went to Channel 7 News, no one watches that station anymore anyway, right? They just see you up there and like, man, that person must know what they're doing, right? So we're going to teach ways to stand out and become the only person that you ever that they would ever choose. Now, you might say like, well, guys, I don't know if my town's big enough. I don't know if my area is big enough. Well, I'm going to show you. These are exact examples of partner towns that Dr. Scott has people who license his materials right now running ads, running lunch and learns, running workshops, running some of these types of campaigns. And you'll see that, like, here's one: College Station, Texas, 61,000 to 72,000. Colorado Springs, 162,000. Those are people. This is a screenshot, by the way, of our Facebook ad campaigns. Like inside there, it gives us how many people over the age of 55 are in those areas. And so the smallest area is College Station, Texas, for this example, and there's 72,400 people over the age of 55. Now, let me ask you a question. If you think like your city's too big, too small, whatever it might be, whatever excuse you might say, do you think there would be 12 new people in that like little, that small town area that may have joint pain, back pain, can't sleep because their shoulders hurt, whatever it might be? Okay. From an HRT perspective, let's say we can even go lower demographic, right? So hormone men, I should have done a different slide. Do you think we can find 30 to 50 men or females that might need to get their estrogen increased or testosterone increased? And it's crazy, isn't it crazy, fellas and men and women out there and everybody who's out there? Isn't it crazy to think that these treatments have been available for what, over a decade? Scott, I don't know if you're still on there or if you're taking a break. How long's HRT been around? And yet I can go talk to my neighbor and tell him I'm on testosterone. He's like, you really are? He's like, I'm 55. I'm older than you, and I feel awful every single day. I've never even realized that that was an option. I mean, how long has it even been around, Scott? Available to people?
So as I mean, easily 10 years. Yeah,
Easily 10 years.
definitely more than that.
Yet there's a market every day coming into your environment. I could look at probably, I'm looking at that neighbor. I got this neighbor. I know that neighbor. Three men that are over the age of 53 who I know for a fact are fatigued, out of shape, need a reboot, would kill to get like a peptide stack, Like they don't even know it exists. That's my point. And so when you lead with the product, nobody cares. And you get the worst type of prospective patients, which I'm going to show you in a second why you should never lead with, oh, we do stem cells. Well, you do that I'll tell you when to do that. We do peptides. People don't know what the frick peptides are. So you have to lead with the condition. And so these are very specific. These are examples. I'm showing you exactly. So you can't leave this workshop and be like, they didn't show us any of the stuff they're doing. No, these are the exact ads. One of our this is in one of our campaigns we are running right now. Like this one, it says right there, November 3rd. What's our date right now? November 17th. So they'll get recycled because that was the November campaign. And so that'll run again in I think 3 weeks to run in the next one. I got to look at it. But I pulled this out for you, right? And you'll notice joint pain doesn't mean surgery has to be the next step. Now, it's a longer ad, and I'm not going to go into the full like how to write sales copy today, but you'll notice that it leads with the condition and the pain. Okay. Now, what we do there to ensure that you don't just get a bunch of people showing up with pain that are not qualified is we send them to a survey. Okay. We send them to a survey, and the survey is going to ask them a handful of questions. Um, Number one, how long have you had this problem? Number two, have you ever tried stem cells before? Yes or no? Number three, I know I'm probably skipping over a couple of them. Are you aware that regenerative medicine treatments or stem cells, depending on if you're doing stem cells, if I was doing a peptide hormone thing, I might put something like, are you aware that hormone replacement therapy starts at, uh, $500 a month, $300, whatever your package is. You're just trying to give a minimum bump so they could mentally frame themselves in like, oh, you mean stem cells are going to cost me minimum if I'm doing exosomes? Hey, Scott, what's a minimum like on just exosomes if that's what we're promoting?
So you're going to be at like 5,000 for minimum.
Okay. So I might ask a question. It's not covered by insurance. We start at 5,000 plus. Yes, no. Because if they're like, no, I can't afford it, then we're going to move them off the lead list. They do not qualify. So that's one of the things that we do. Boom, 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 boom. And then um, Scott, I may have you explain in a minute, not yet. Just then, like what our follow-up system looks like, because it ensures that people show up for your workshop, your lunch and learn, your webinar, and it also ensures that out of the gate, this is very important, from the initial introduction, you are speaking to people that are qualified and you are disqualifying people that are not qualified. What everybody else does, I should have had a slide for this, Scott, is what everybody else does is the opposite of that, okay? Everybody else fills people into their firm or their practice, their clinic, and their office and qualifies them at the chair or in the room, right, Scott?
Yep, I need to leave myself off mute.
That's okay, yeah. And so no, but so that's what that is. It's backwards, guys. It's totally backwards. It's totally backwards. So then the focal point becomes I need to be better at case presentation. We need to be better at selling. We need to know how to, I mean, you got to get better at closing and selling and communicating. But we don't want to have to take somebody who's cold and move them all the way into a five, $10,000 uh, patient or client when they're not qualified to be one. And so this model eliminates that. Okay. Are you guys liking this? Just give me a yes. Give me this sounds great. Give me a freedom. Give me I'm alive. I'm alert. I'm enthusiastic. This is possibly going to be the $1 million breakthrough I've been begging for and looking for. And, 2026 is going to be the place of momentum and power and freedom that I control and differentiation, uh, it'd be pretty amazing. So it's being pretty amazing. So I'm seeing some comments and questions come in. Now, on this side, I want to show you this because at the end of the day, whether or not you like the ad or not, I just showed you, like if you like those or not, is really not relevant because you might be sitting there going like, well, we like I want to put my face on every ad and I want our logo on every ad. Logos don't sell people to solve their pains. People understanding that this person can help me is what solves the pain or gets them to say yes. Does that make sense? And so it becomes if we can agree on that, then the belief is, well, then what can I afford to do this? And so I just want to show you like $15 per lead right there. 28 leads. This is an actual lunch and learn workshop we're running. $15 per lead, 28 leads. $11 or 11 leads at 38 bucks, right? 24 leads at $18. So when you like combine those all together, you're looking at probably what, like $20 per lead. And I'm going to show you a calculation we do to help you like kind of map it out. 14 bucks a lead down here. And what's great about this is, I mean, how many of you would spend 30 bucks a lead, 40 bucks a lead if it was a qualified lead? Just show of hands, just even pretend, even if you're sitting in a closet in your house and you're trying to stay away from the dogs and the children, just like I always have to do with my kids and 7 kids. It's kind of outrageous, but that's what we have to do sometimes. All by yourself, even if you're driving the car. Hopefully, you're not watching. You're like, I would spend 40 bucks to get a qualified lead because if you get a 10% conversion rate, you're spending $400 to get a patient that is spending 5,000 bucks, 600 bucks up front, whatever it might be for you. Okay. How many be able to do that? I believe you do that all day long. Now, the secret part, say, Ed, what is the secret part? The secret part is what happens after they click on the first ad. The secret part that no one teaches is that after they click on the first ad, we now start using our ethical propaganda. What's ethical propaganda? Can I tell you what it is? It is helping people get their toughest questions, their biggest fears, worries, concerns uh, absolved and answered. Is that manipulative? Is that horrible? No, it's not. It's just that we know how to actually manipulate Facebook and Instagram so that we create this feeling that this doctor, this business owner, this clinic is everywhere all of a sudden, and we get to do it with super low budgets after the first click. Okay. Let me give you an example. So I'm going to give you an example. Actually, let me stop my share because I'm going to show you. I'm going to let you actually experience what an ad that we run might sound like. Okay. So I'm going to come back over here. Scott, can you see this right here?
Yep, can see good.
So what one of the strategies we teach you is, hey, get on a Zoom call and get interviewed. Like we do this for our clients, right? When they come work with us, we prefer the 3-person camera because it's a little more professional. But when you're starting, you're like, hey, let's make you into a little micro celebrity because micro celebrities get interviewed on podcasts. People want to hear their celebrity ship. Does that make sense? And so we spent $14 to get the lead. It's going to cost us $1.50 to $3 to get the click. But I'm going to show you in a second how much it costs to get this ad after they click on our first ad in front of people, okay? Getting tons of questions on what are stem cells? How do they benefit me? Am I the right candidate for it? Will they work for? And then insert the whatever it is you're dealing with, whether it's pain, whether it's uncontrollable blood sugar, and the list goes on and on. So I figured, why not just bring Dr. Scott Gray on to explain exactly how Connect Relief can connect you with the right solution for whatever it is you might be experiencing that brought you to this live workshop today. Okay, so I just set Dr. Scott up. He goes on and he answers the question, right? This could be about anything. Hey, so why don't we come on and I'm going to show you exactly. I'm going to ask you like, who's a candidate for the Wolverine stack? I keep saying the Wolverine stack because I think it's awesome and I need it. Number two is it could be like for hormone replacement therapy. Like my wife, she'll kill me for sharing this out. No, she won't. We're open books here. Uh, just got hormone replacement therapy at the age of 52, right? Um, I've been doing it for over 15 years. And finally, something triggered for her to be like, I'm going to do something about this, right?
Option for
And so these ads, these videos that I'm showing you, we license them to our clients, by the way. So you can either do them on your own or we could just give you this stuff. Now, this is an ad that I did. This one works like gangbusters for stem cell patients. Same framework. It's under a minute long, would work for any other thing you're trying to get into your clinic.
Hey, if you've ever considered stem cells as an option for chronic pain, injuries, and a whole slew of other problems that you might be facing.
Now, what did I do there? I called out a specific pain. Have you ever considered stem cells for pain? I didn't say, hey, are you in pain? We're doing this free workshop. I brought up, hey, I want them stem cell aware and I want them specifically pain aware. And then I just do a simple invite.
What if I told you that Florida just passed a new law which allows our medical professionals to come directly to you in your home?
And then it goes into that, right? And then we invite them to a free webinar. Guess what? This is exactly how we're teaching you to do it. This is how Scott's $3.5 million last month client did it. And this is the system. And what's crazy about this system is that I want to make sure I show you something really cool, is that it is the most leverageable way for you to get an increase in revenue and production without killing yourself on a daily basis, weekly basis. And now I'm going to go one step further on this. By the way, Scott, is this helpful? Am I being clear on laying this out for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is great.
Okay. Okay. So now this is an Excel sheet that we walk all clients through. You need to have this. A lot of you have just been making decisions based on what you're seeing on social media, the shiny object thing that grabbed you. That's fine. Scott actually showed you that. Like here, we have our goal. We start doing this. The goal's not working, so we try something else. But if you actually map out the plan and then get the math behind it, all the rest of the parts of the puzzle just kind of fall into place because you have a business plan, and most people don't have that when it comes to marketing. Like I was talking to a guy the other day, very, very successful professional, and he's like, I have no idea if any of the stuff we're doing in marketing is working. Okay. He's like, I got a girl we spend, $1,500 a month on. She does our social media. Now, your social media, if it's not bringing in people, if you're not running monthly promotions that bring in people, inactives, actives, new people, then it's not working. If it's not calling out people with pains problems that have money that want to spend money, it's not working, right? And that's why paid advertising has to be something in your arsenal. It's got to be one of your core flywheels. Okay. So let's go through this, right? If you hate Excel, bear with it. You're a big person, you're a business owner. This is going to be the best year of your life, and it's going to start right here. Okay. I laid out 3 scenarios for you on a monthly budgeting perspective. Let's say you came to us, right? You were a client and you're like, hey guys, after, I want to be in your group, want to do this stuff, and I got $5,000 a month I could spend on advertising. You break that down, you know what that is on a daily basis? That's something like 140 bucks a day. No, $160, 165 bucks a day. Not a lot of money, right? And you could work your way up to it. But here's what it would look like. Let's say you have 5,000. Let's say in your area, I'll go up a little bit. Let's say it's going to cost you $15 per lead. With $5,000, you're going to generate, and Scott, you can chime in as much as you like here. You're going to generate 333 leads. Okay. From that, you're going to probably get about 160 people attend your event. I got to change that a little bit. That your show rate to the event's going to be about 160. These two are just actually, boom. I had them backwards. Sorry. Your show rate's going to be something like so imagine that. I mean, 167 people watch the presentation that we give you or you do on your own to sell your services. Okay. Let me ask you this question. If you are absolutely freaking awful, if you can't even, if you're this terrified, if you do an awful job, do you think you could get 10%, 5% of the people that said, I have a horrible issue or condition or problem, whether it's shoulder pain, joint pain, whatever it might be? I'm feeling crazy in the mind. My body's, I feel like I lost my youth completely. Every day I get older by way faster. I feel older. I might have a certain, whatever the issue is, right? And we'll walk you through the right message for your specific business. Um, and then you generate an extra 80 appointments on the month, and you bring in 8 to 15 new patients at 5K a pop, and you generate an extra 45,000 in can we do that? Would that be a win for you? Okay. Now, if you throw in this, check this out. If you throw in referrals, which nobody ever throws in on these things, you're now getting an extra 30% increase on that, which then brings in an extra 14,000 in just pure revenue. Okay. And then that's really dropping to the net profit line. Okay. Now, as far as like your overhead and stuff like that, I'm not going to go into that right now. But now it becomes a math equation because you start going like, well, Ed, I want to spend 15 grand a month. I want to spend 50,000 a month. Great. We would never say any of you jump to 50,000 a month. Looks like Maggie raised her hand. Scott, I don't even know how to control that to get her in here.
No, I'm here. Just numbers lady over here. Just wanted to say that's actually our stem cell patient minimum. Our average with us and the clinics that we have helped is
Oh, great point. Was what, Mag?
around 11,000 is our
Yeah.
actual average.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
that's actually, this is where you could do some fun manipulation is like, let's say your clinic's bringing them in 11,000, or like we've had some of our clients report, I mean, you have a couple bangers where you're like, man, we had a, one of our seminars did $60,000. Guys, we hear that every week. This is what we do. This is what's happening all the time. And the other number that thanks for not reminding me of this, Maggie, but your question just reminded me of it, which was this right here. I put this in here because with Dr. Scott, like watch this. If I get rid of this, just put 0, look what happens. You pay 0 commissions. If you end up hiring a sales rep and you pay them 10%, bam, they make 10 grand off $90,000. How many of you here would spend 10 grand if your practice had a increase in revenue by $120,000? Raise your hands. Of course you would. How many of you would pay an extra 10 grand of bonuses to your front desk, your assistant, the rest of the team? Of course you would. How many of you now have the budget because you have the revenue to pay people to leverage and create freedom, which we can go further in later. But now, Maggie, you know what? Can you do me a favor? Can you just make a note? Let's send this out to everybody, this Excel sheet, just so they could play with the numbers themselves to see, hey, like we should have sent this out to you prior, but like worst case scenario, let's say you're now at like 20 bucks a lead, which is kind of what I said that one campaign looked at on average. And I was just eyeballing it, right? But now let's say they have an 8% conversion rate and they're at 6,500. You're still looking at $15,000 turns into 45,000, and I haven't even pulled over the referrals yet. Does that make sense? So the reason why this is so important, this is really what it's really important, and what Scott did and designed, and why I love working with him, and we all do, is you're instead of going to Lake Michigan, I'm in Chicago, right? So besides the fact that you need a bulletproof vest when you drive over to Lake Michigan, I'm just kidding, but I don't know if some of you out of towners, and I know the Florida people are like, we don't even know Chicago exists. It's okay. You're good people. We love you. But but it's like if you went over to Lake Michigan and you took like your tackle box and you took like I heard that there's fish in this world and you start just throwing stuff out there, probability of you catching anything is probably like less than 0%, right? You're hoping, you're dreaming, you're desiring. That is exactly what happens when you go to an agency that says, hey, we're going to get you 5 high-paying cash patients guaranteed or you never pay us. That is somebody you should run from. The reason being is because if they don't get you results right away, they don't care about working with you. They know you're going to cancel in 3 months and they're going to be on to the next place, right? That is one of the craziest things that is ruining anybody who actually helps practices from a legitimate, integral space, because those claims are so outrageous that if people buy into them, you're about to lose a lot of money. Okay. What I want to say is this: by following this math and this path and plan, what you end up doing is you end up like draining all you, like Dan Kennedy used to say, you put like the best fish, you dump them all into a barrel, and you now poke holes in the barrel so all the water comes out of it. And then we give you a shotgun, and then you're able to shoot fish in a barrel because you are the only person equipped with these ads, these strategies, and to fill it in. Okay. Now, I had a couple more things I wanted to show you, and then I'm going to send it back over to Scott here. Are you guys finding this valuable? If you're finding this valuable, comment yes, say yes. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to destroy everybody. It's going to be everything. It's going to be amazing. And I'm going to show you this little thing I used to do a lot with dentists, but we would show you exactly how to do this for you, right? Share my screen, and then I'm going to share my one last concept, Scott, and then we're going to flip it back over to you, and then I'm happy to answer questions for people too. Okay. Couple of things. The reason why we interview new clients is because most people are bad. And that's not a judgment. Like that's literally, we're all like, if I said, hey, get out your phone and start doing social media stuff, man, you end up stalling out because you're like, first of all, organic social media only works if you're like hyper prolific, right? That's why using low budget paid ads is the right way to do it. Okay. Like I'm talking about $1 a day per piece of content. The reason why we like using 3-person camera interviews is because you're getting 4K, super high quality, and then you talk about things that you're already good at every single day in your office. You just get to be yourself. Where when you ask people to like do this kind of stuff, it's a little tough at first. You get better at it. But here's what I want to show you guys. This is unbelievable. When it talks about ethical propaganda, this is one of my old clients. He's still a client, but here's what's kind of cool. Scott, you know how long ago I shot these videos with Dr. Keenan? Say how long, Scott?
What's that?
Say how long?
How long?
All right, cool. So the whole audience said how long? This was over 2 years ago. And look at how good the quality of the videos that we're still running today look. And we're answering the questions: how expensive? Ever wonder if this was right for me? 5 things you must know before you ever choose or do stem cells or peptides or hormone replacement therapy. What you should be asking before you go into a clinic. These are all the questions you're already fielding on a daily basis. So we geofence your area. We have you run targeted budget, like you have a budget. You run your lunch and learn, your webinar for 3 days. And Scott could talk a little more about this too in a second if I leave something out. For 3 days, you spend 100 to 300 bucks a day. If you're really aggressive, you might spend 500 bucks a day. You fill it up, do the presentation, you get paid. And guess what happens? All the people that visited your website, your Facebook, your Instagram, they opted in that did not show up, did not want to show up. Do you know that that's probably about 95 or about 85% of the people that actually engaged with your ad the first time? What do we do with all those people? You spend $1 per day per piece of content that answers all their questions. And when they see you, whether it's 17 times, 19 times, 30 times, when they're ready, guess who's in front of them? You are. We call it geofence carpet bombing. Why is it carpet bombing? Because you are everywhere all the time and it's consistent, it's predictable. The more people, and you don't have to touch anything. You got to work with it. We have a team we recommend that does it for you. But once you have it set up, guess what happens? It works for you. It's highly leverageable. Scott, what am I missing, or what would you like to add while I just take a sip of water and then and we go from there?
No, I think that's great. I mean, it's again, it's just the ad setup. It's the way you do it. It's where you put your money. A lot of people are just throwing a lot of money at bad ads and wrong audiences, and that's why people get such bad results. So it's really predictable when you do it this way. So
Should we see like if Maggie, if there been any questions that have come in that we should answer? Is there any questions we're missing?
so yeah, I don't see anything.
No questions right now, but I am monitoring. So if anybody has any, please shoot them in the chat.
Perfect. Very good. Do you want me to start on the close, Ed?
Yeah, what I think would be great is so that's how you fill the event. You run those ads, fill the event. It doesn't matter if you do it virtually or in person. Scott, yeah, I'm sure like I'm sure that you've done hundreds of these, right? So and our teams, like your teams that are out there now, um, can you just walk everybody through like what is like so if it costs me say 30 bucks to get somebody to a live in-person event,
Mm-hmm.
what's your typical like close rate? And I know you probably mentioned it earlier, but like what's your typical close rate on something like that when you do the presentation?
The average would be 50%. Sometimes you do a little better, sometimes you do less.
So
So,
you
and that's
get
50% from seminar to appointment.
yep.
And then typically you're going to get about, if you're good, you'll get, 50 to 60% of those. But most docs fall in the, 25% range. Depends on how good they are.
So yeah, and that's what's awesome about it is like so it's designed in such a way that that the math is so in your favor because even if you got 30 there, 30 times 30, that's $1,000. I know guys, I know it's only like 900, but I'm rounding up. And say I buy them lunches, which is another 2 grand or something like that. That's $3,000. And all of a sudden, or give or take, I only get one $12,000 case. But now I have a bunch of leads. I got one more rep in my account. I now have a new referral source and I have a new system that's working for me. But you're saying that even your less quality people you've trained are getting 25%. So that means you're looking at 7 to 8 new paying patients at 5,500 to 11,000 plus.
Yeah, because it's, if you do the presentation right, they're pretty much ready to go. They're
Yeah.
coming and they have a couple more questions they just got to get ironed out first. But yeah, they know everything by the end of the talk. And so they're ready to go. As long as their belief system has been changed, they want to be part of the big idea and that new identity, then they're like, yeah, I need to try something new.
Have we,
Yeah.
guys, have we explained the difference between presentation and appointment?
No, we didn't talk about that. I mean, mainly the funnel is do the advertising. We've got an RSVP system to get people to show up to make sure that you get the right people there and the numbers that you want. And then from the presentation, they'll book an appointment at the office. Then they come in for their appointment at the office or their consultation. And then that's where you're going to, whether you do a 1, 2 day process with them, eventually you'll get to the close with the patient at that point.
Yeah, and that takes the stress off of the presentation because it's just a presentation. You're not trying to sell per se in that presentation.
You're not, no, it's
Yeah.
all about transforming their belief and identity. You're just you're expressing your passion about it and why you love it so much and why you think everyone should do it. But you're using stories that get them to reframe everything that we talked about earlier.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
Scott, before you go into uh the close, and then we talk maybe about, I really do think like the creating the vision of what it looks like when you bring in a sales rep, that like, because that was a big breakthrough for you. You said that like the
That
big
was
scaling
everything.
breakthrough. Guys, the only way, just so y'all know, like the only way his clients able to hit 3.5 million is that they found leverage through having other people do the presentations. And so I want Scott to talk about that. Before I do that though, what I'd love to do is we were going to send this all out to you guys afterwards. I think it's just better to we got you here, and let's just go through this right now. We're just going to take 3 minutes to cover what if you want to work with us and more closely with Dr. Scott and our team, and really drive out your practice and take the system that we're talking about. We're not done training you today, and we're going to cover like the 50K in 10 minutes campaign as well before we wrap up. So we might go a little bit longer than we had planned, but we can do it. Is if you want to be a part of the program, a bunch of the things I want to talk to you about is just that you get everything we're talking about. Like you don't have to create your own ads. You don't have to guess about what goes where, and you'll always have a mentor and someone there to support you. So what we're going to do is we'll send this out to you today. If you would like to be a part of the program, amazing. We just ask that you, let's see if it's right here. We ask that you fill out this quick survey. You leave a deposit. It's $1,000 refundable, meaning if you decide you don't want to continue to work with us, great, we'll refund it back. If we review it and we feel like maybe this isn't the best time, or we're misaligned on some of the goals, this is really a goal setting, like, hey, what are you trying to accomplish? Where are you currently at? Where are you trying to go? One of the key things I really want you to focus on is that if you do think this is for you, I strongly want to encourage you to realize you are sitting on assets right now with your inactive patient base, with your existing patient base, with professionals who know you, your cold market that's kind of warm. The amount of money that's sitting already inside by just getting on a 12-week or a monthly rhythm of campaigns that we can train your team as well on how to do it, would be amazing. Let me answer one quick question. We do not run ads for clients anymore. And the reason being is because there's so much coaching and mentoring on helping you scale through that we found it was not the best use of our time to be managing your ads. We have a great resource. That's what they do. They're very affordable. If you have somebody that you love working with, then you could take the licensing materials and work directly with them. Okay. Um, Throughout the program, you're going to have access to our team, Dr. Scott, and we also are going to make sure that we're training your staff as you go. So anyhow, Maggie, can you send out the secure your spot link as well as, yeah, Maggie, just go ahead.
Yes, I will send that out. I had a quick question if we're taking any questions right now.
Yeah.
So Al is asking, what about if you want to start stem cells but don't have it in the practice yet?
Oh yeah, we can
Yeah.
we
I'm
can
gonna,
definitely go ahead, Ed.
no, I was gonna stop my screen share just so that
Okay.
so she can see you.
Yeah, definitely. So I've I've integrated a lot of practices, so we can definitely give you guidance on that, how to get and find a medical director, nurse practitioner, those types of things. Obviously, we don't do what AMI does and charge hundreds of thousands of dollars to integrate you and all that kind of stuff, but we can give you guidance on that and the steps you need to take to get that done.
Awesome. Awesome. There's no other questions, then we're just gonna move forward. And Scott, we can go through the close and then we'll go through hiring a sales rep.
Okay, sounds good. Let me go get Keynote back up here. There we go. All right, so my close is one of the most important parts of the talk, and it's one of the ones that I tell people if there's anything. We talked a little bit before about improv and adding some things in and whatnot. This is one of those things that needs to be pretty much verbatim. It really needs to be verbatim. And this is the keys to the kingdom. Um, I I heard this from Dan Kennedy, and he was doing it in a totally unrelated field, just like Ed was talking about. Innovation comes from outside your industry, and that's where I got it. I'll kind of zip through it. I did a ton of dinner workshops as a chiropractor. There's that plastic spine I was talking about earlier, and you see me laughing, doing a little humor in there. Um, but with that, I wasn't great. I was not really that great at talks. I did them. I did whatever I could to try to get people into the office. But the reality was I was not getting the results I wanted. I heard a close by Dan Kennedy and I changed it to work for chiropractic at first, but very quickly switched it over to stem cell. So if you look at the patient infusion method that our system, this is the seminar close part and conversion mastery. So we went over the perfect presentation. Now we're going over the seminar close. And again, this was from Dan Kennedy. He's the one that did this first. I'm going to zip past him doing it. I'm just going to go into it because I know we're running pretty long. So my close rate went from 30% to 60 to 70% overnight with cold leads. So it was the biggest change that I saw in your profit margins. When you convert twice as many on your presentation, your profit margin just shoots through the roof because it's always like people are trying to get to that barrier of making money. It's like when you have twice as many, that's where all the profit is. So this changed my life. So the close, the structure and psychology behind every single line in it. So, okay, the first part. So all the quotes you see in the smaller font is what I actually say. So I'd like to close tonight with a quote from a classic and one of my favorite books, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Okay, so the reason I start there is I'm using a third-party social proof. I'm not telling you this, right? This is a classic book that everyone respects. A respected author said this. And so I'm just telling you the psychology behind why I say what I say and why Dan did it this way. So in this book, he says, men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. So basically, we're saying people who don't change will always suffer and stay where they are, right? That's what we're saying there, but we're just using a quote to get that point across. So it's not like you telling them. They're like, oh, yeah. And then I say, that describes most people. Many people you know that complain about their health, right? So it's not you. You don't complain about your health. You're one of the good ones, but you know these people. You know that they complain about these things. They wish for better health, less pain, more mobility, but they're unwilling to try and use new techniques and therapies that are available to create that desired change. So we're saying, hey, wishing doesn't work. They're stuck in the past. You've got to do something new to actually get a change, right? And I say there's the old adage that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but what is it? Oh yeah. Wishing for different results, hoping for different results. So I always do that. I know how it ends because I've said it 1,000 times, but I just wait. They get engaged and involved. But it's a familiar saying that they believe, and it creates rapport and believability, especially when they start talking and saying and answering the question for you. You want them to answer questions for you. Act like you don't know everything. If you act like you're a know-it-all up there, they're not going to like it. Umbilical stem cell therapy is revolutionizing medicine and changing the lives of millions of people around the world, just like you. So we're inserting what we do, and it's about the therapy. It's not about us, right? And honestly, I would say umbilical cord treatments or umbilical cord allograft procedures now. I would change that a little bit. But anyway, if you're already thoroughly and completely happy with your health, the way medicine has served you, with your results and your mobility, then you should feel free to ignore this offer tonight to meet with one of our doctors, and feel free to ignore everything we've heard about. So we're going negative. We're pushing them away. It's great for skeptics, because if you're sitting there trying to get them to do it and not giving them an out, that's when it's actually uncomfortable for you. This line right here for me made it so easy to close, because if you're willing to say this, it just takes all the friction and everything out of the conversation. Now you're saying like, look, if this sounds really dumb to you, then don't do it. That's great. But if you're so content, I'd have to wonder why you made an effort to come out tonight, right? So we're just stating the obvious. So if you aren't content and you'd like to improve some aspect of your health, your quality of life for years to come, then I urge you, don't come all the way up to this point of decision only to turn your back on this opportunity, right? And the guaranteed opportunity is just guaranteed to know if we can help you or not, right? We're not guaranteeing treatment. So now that we know you're not content with your health, let's do something about it, right? So see if it's right for you, and then we're asked, you're risking giving a $20 donation to help children. And so that was one of the things that we did. We eventually raised it to 40, but we actually raised money for Give Kids the World with this. And so it's a way to be like, look, you're giving $40 to help kids, that are terminally sick. So you did good no matter what happens. So you're eliminating risk and making them feel good about it, right? That's identity, right? They get to give, right? What did Tom's Shoes do? Every time you bought a pair of shoes, they gave a pair of shoes away. You felt good about it. It was an identity. The shoes were horrible, but people bought them because they wanted to give kids shoes over in Africa. So, and I'll remind you, things don't change unless you change things, right? So we're saying, hey, there is personal responsibility here, which is true. That's the reality, right? We're stating the obvious again. Stem cell treatments have the power to create whatever change you want in your health and your lifestyle more than anything available today, right? So we're talking about now we can be more positive. Now that we've said, if this all sounds dumb, then it's all good. So now we can be really positive about our stuff. It makes it so much easier to do that after you've done the negative. After over 15 years of treating patients, I've never seen anything this powerful, this natural, this safe and effective. So I basically turned my story into this disbelief of I can't believe it. It's amazing. The fact that we get to do this now. This is literally the pinnacle of my calling and my practice, taking the power that made the body to heal the body. So we're sharing excitement. And I can assure you that you're working too hard to get the results that you desire, right? We make it easy. I hope you'll take action tonight on the impulse to improve your quality of life, your energy, your independence, your opportunity to give of yourself to others, right? So we're talking about why people do things, not to get rid of your back pain, to get rid of your shoulder pain, but we're trying to future pace them into what life could be like if they do this. And then I do the callback. So if you too believe that the power that made the body is the power that can heal the body, and it's better to regenerate than to operate, go ahead and fill the form out that you have in front of you. Schedule your appointment with Jim or whoever's there that night, and we'll come around and collect that payment. So thank you guys so much tonight. It's been a pleasure. Then they start clapping. Okay. That's the close. That close right there really changed my life and my ability to get people to take action. Because what people, you've probably heard this, people buy an emotion, right? But they make decisions on logic. So if you can give them enough logic and change their belief system and really get into that identity, and then take away all the risk and all of this. I mean, it's a slam dunk. So um, that right there, if you're already doing talks and you add that into your talk, you will close more people. I guarantee it. I mean, I heard it from Dan Kennedy, and I wrote the whole thing down before there was transcription services and all that. I sat there and listened to it, wrote the whole thing down, and then I completely changed it for, well, chiropractic first and then stem cell. And what I was saying about people buying emotion, when you just make an offer, it's normally 150 bucks. Now it's 49 if you sign up in the next 2 days, and then you're just done, then they don't get emotional.
Yeah.
So what I'd always do is I do the offer, right? And I say, Jim's going to go ahead and hand out a sheet if you're interested in signing up. So he's going to go ahead and put those in front of you. And while he's doing that, I always love ending my talks with one of my favorite quotes from a classic book called As a Man Thinketh. And I just go into it. Now they've got the paper in front of them, and I'm getting them emotional. I'm getting them thinking like, I need to make a change. I, I, I can't keep doing what I've been doing. That's insane. Uh, you know, like, no, I did come out here for this. I do want something new. Wow, these things sound like they're really good. And I do love the power that made the body is the power that can heal the body. Like, this is great, right? So you're getting that emotion going. That's when the pens start filling out the form. The pens don't fill out the form typically right when you hand it out. It's once you're going through this and they're just like nodding their head and they're just like, yeah, yeah. That's when they sign up. And that's when everyone's excited, they're clapping, like it's great, going around and booking appointments. And so we do that. We get them in the next 48 hours, and yeah, that close will change your life if you do talks. What do you want to
Yeah,
go into?
I love it.
What do we want to finish up with, Ed?
Well, I mean, I have a few
You're
questions.
talking about a salesperson.
Yeah, yeah. So phase one for you was master. Like you once you got that close, and you started seeing, okay, I could run these seminars. Now, I guess one question I'd ask is because we have some people that are probably here for stem cells, some people that are here for different areas of regenerative medicine, maybe, or whatever their clinic is. I guess the question I would ask if I was watching is, will this work for other conditions?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just like I literally just changed it from chiropractic to stem cell. Like you can plug and play anything, and
Yeah,
then you know uh, we can take all the concepts that are in the presentation and turn them into whatever needs to be done. Like it's this is all about psychology, and it's the belief system and the identity, and you can do that with any type of service.
100%. And then for you to scale, and then I know there's some NDAs and there's things you can't talk about with some of your bigger clients that are doing massive numbers. Um, we didn't kind of share, we didn't really share why you decided to start working with local clinics again. But I'll just share, I could just share is that like, if you guys aren't aware, one of the biggest questions that are on like with is that
Search.
patients are looking for places near them. They really want clinics. So while one of Scott's clients, like they do a lot of external lunch and learns and dinners and virtual or one-to-many stuff. Um, rem- but people are always asking, well, where's a clinic near me? I want to go to somebody close to me. And I think that's just because patients and clients feel better with somebody local in general. it's funny for the older demographic, especially having a physical location was shown as to being like an element of trust increase versus not, you know.
Absolutely.
Um, so with just your phases of scaling now. So yeah, we'll do rapid fire because we're coming up on 3 hours here. You figured out this is the framework. Now I got to train somebody else. Um, what was your process for finding somebody to replace you, and how did you feel about that? You know, I guess
So,
my
I mean, at first it sucked. It's hard to find good salespeople, and if you don't know what you're doing, I'll tell you how I figured it out here in a second. But um, at first, it's like you'd hire someone, you put all this time into training them, and then you do marketing, and you put them out there to do dinners, and you paid for marketing, you paid for dinners, you've taken all your time to train them, and then they suck. And believe me, that happened more than once. And I lost a lot of money that way. But I had a guy, buddy of mine, who he helped build and sell a software company in San Francisco. And he told me his secret weapon was a guy that found salespeople for him. He said that this guy, he had a 98% success rate with finding salespeople that crushed for him. And I just basically said, hey, uh, does he do anything like, would he do anything like with what I do? He's like, he might. So, excuse me. I reached out to him. And over the past 9 months, we have continually uh, um, taken people through surveys, psychological profiles of all of our best salespeople. And we've built the avatar. And so I can go into a town and I can have a sales guy up, trained, ready to go in 45 to 60 days.
wow.
That's how I help all those other teams is by they say, hey, I need someone in, uh, whatever, Columbus, Ohio. Okay. And then my hiring team goes and we have to get 200 applications to find one salesperson. That's how tight it is, but
Crazy.
they
That's
always work.
yeah, that's crazy. So okay, so because I think that brings up another question too. Like, there's going to be some people who watch this training that we just did, and they're like, okay, well, uh, we're already scaling, we're growing, we're successful. Would you skip the line and like if they have the money, obviously they have to have the money and just have them hire like we have I know we have that you have your secret resource um that is your headhunter for that has been killing it for you. Would you say, hey, just skip like if I'm super busy right now and I don't need another thing on my plate, but I want to get this live, active, and running, would you just skip the line and just hire the rep with the proven model?
Yeah, you can because we can train them on the model, and while we're hiring the salesperson, you can learn the model, what you need to do in the clinic, and all that. So, yeah, I mean, if you're already killing it, and you're like, oh my gosh, if I had a salesperson, and when we say salesperson, here's what I mean. So they're obviously non-medical, so we can call them like the case
The
manager, the chief education officer, the public relations person, whatever. They go out and do the talk, and then we actually have them do the doctor obviously will do the initial uh, consult and diagnosis, but then you have them there as the case manager to close the cases for you. Because I worked really, really like I'm not a salesperson by trade or by like my DNA, but I bought and read every book. I went to training courses and everything. I got pretty good, but when I found out I could have someone replace me and I could focus on other stuff and not, you know, I'm just a guy that I don't like asking people for money. So I loved the idea of being able to get someone to do my talks and do the closes. And I did that. So in 2017, I had two clinics in Ohio doing stem cell, and I literally moved to Florida and I had salespeople doing the talks and the consults. I had the medical team doing all that. And so I was gone. I was
wow.
1,000 miles away. And that's when I figured out the leverage. And then that's when I started like 8 more clinics in Florida. I mean, that's how the leverage really started kicking up when it's like, okay, put a team here, salesperson there, boom. Team here, salesperson there, boom. And so that's how we grew it so fast.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. If anyone has a question, we got a few minutes left that we are happy to answer for them.
We didn't lie about the fire hose, did we?
No, no, it's very good though. I just want to make sure you understand, like, so remember, just go back. You got your ads, target one condition, one pain point at a time. I mean, you can have 5 different pain points. It just gets you want to run those in separate ads because it can get complex. And then what happens is when you start going too broad, you don't know who you're talking to uh on your trainings, right? Like if I'm doing a lunch and learn about joint pain, I know who I'm talking to. If I'm doing Al has a question. 2 questions. FDA regulations in stem cells, and does the program include hiring a closer or case manager?
So the FDA regulations, that's a great question. That's obviously one of the biggest questions all the time. Yes, we have entire sections in the system on compliance that we will give you to learn the compliance of what you need to do to stay within FDA guidelines. So we've got all of that in there. Obviously, we are not a legal team, so you can take it to your attorney, but we've got it all there. Believe me, with all the teams we've worked with, this stuff has gone through about 20 different lawyers. But you obviously want your lawyer to sign off on it, but we can give you all of that as part of the system. All the clients, what to say, what not to say, what to put in your presentation, what not to have your presentation, etc. So we'll show you how to work within the guidelines so that you're not doing anything out of it. Does the program include hiring? It doesn't include. It's an add-on that you can get because there's some offices that the doctor loves giving presentation and loves closing people, and so we didn't want to put something in there and add expense to people that don't need it. So it is something.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they want to ask you questions about it and get advice and get insight from Scott on hiring, yeah,
Oh,
you can
yeah,
get
we can tell you that
mentoring.
for sure.
But as far as like if you want to go have like the actual headhunter find the person and then do all the testing that's required to make sure you're getting the right, yeah, that would be extra. That'd be extra.
Yeah,
And that's
because
part,
I
so we
gotta.
do have our $1 million Rolodex as well.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. You guys are getting access to. I mean, the number of people that Ed and I know in the marketing world, the medical world, the mindset, mentors. We're lucky enough to get to work with a lot of amazing people, and we can give you access. Just like we said, we don't run ads, but we have an agency that can run our system this way. So if you don't have an agency, then, or if you don't run them yourself, then we've got someone there for you that is going to do a fantastic job for you. So whatever you need when you're in the system, you can ask us and we can connect you with our guys that are typically, kind of invite only people to be able to talk to. And, you ask me a question, I don't know it. I'll go ask my mentor. And he's a very wealthy, very smartest businessman I've ever met in my life. But yes, you will have access through us to other people that are top tier. But we'll give you the ads if you guys run your own ads. That was another thing is like some people just like doing it. Like there's some docs that are techie and like to do
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to waste time with doing the ads. We'll just give it all to you and let you go to town with it. We'll show you how we set it up or, tell you this framework that we're talking about and let you guys do it. So, but yes, thank you, Maggie. We will get any question you have about business and growth and scale. We work with a lot of the top guys and we can answer those questions get them answered if we don't know them. But we'll probably be able to answer most of them.
Okay, cool. So, hey, everybody. So Maggie's going to be sending out, or if you're watching the recording this right now, you'll be receiving an invite on the letter of like what it would look like to work with us. There's also the if you'd like to take the survey and put a deposit down to see if you're um, qualified. And this is we want to make sure that we can help you win. That's the most important thing. And then also, I see another question which we are going to answer. Oh, that's Maggie. And then also the Excel sheet just done so you could do your dream math, right? The dream math to figuring out what does it look like from a mathematical perspective if I was generating leads at like 14 bucks a lead, $8 a lead, 20 bucks a lead, and we'll get rocking and rolling. So Scott, this has been amazing. And yeah, if you guys have questions, just send us an email. And if you want to be in the program, we look forward to working with you on that. Otherwise, have an amazing day. And Scott, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you everyone for spending the time with us today. This is literally 20 years of my life that I just shared with you in a very short amount of time, comparatively. I would just ask you, we would love to work with you, but use what you learned today. Don't be a person that learns something and then tomorrow you're on a new webinar trying to learn something new. I literally just gave you guys stuff that's made me millions and millions of dollars. And I want you to do the same thing with it. So take it, use it.
Yeah.
And if you want to work with us, we'd love to see if it's a good fit.
All right. Take care, everybody. And
Take care, everyone.
hope
Thank
to see
you.
you soon. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.